Val Verde Broadcasting, Hello, welcome to Val Verde Broadcasting. Duncan Casey here, introducing tonight's extravaganza of hilarity and insight and waffle. Welcome, one and all, to the Midnight Run watch party. Probably, definitely the greatest watch party of all time because it is Midnight Run. I mean, obviously, The Big Lebowski was the best.
You've had a one-two punch of good Duncan.
I've had a very good few weeks. This is by far and away the greatest Robert De Niro film in the world. So and celebrating the late great Yaphet Kotto, of course. So,
of course. Yeah.
So there we are. Yes.
I think the thing is, you have every reason to call this the best Robert De Niro film, but Robert De Niro is in films where people just assume that their opinion is objective fact, like The Godfather and Taxi Driver. It's like, no, it's the best film. It's like, well, no. I mean, look, I'm not going to go into bat for Rocky and Bullwinkle, for example, but why not fucking Midnight Run?
I don't get the massive amount of love for Godfather 2, which is the one that De Niro is in. I love the first one. I don't mind the third one. I don't mind the second one, but I think the first one is the best. But everyone holds up the second. The second one is so long and drawn out. Anyway, but that's each to his own. But yeah, I love Robert De Niro, and also, but the thing I love about Midnight Run, Robert De Niro, is the comedy chops that he shows. This was really like, I mean, for me, it was probably the first thing I saw him in where he was really funny, just really, really funny. And he's the straight man, right, in it, basically, but he gets to be so funny with it, and vulnerable as well, like, because there's all that stuff about his estranged daughter and wife and everything. So it's I think it's a cracking film. I think it really is. You know.
Well, I only watched it for the first time 6 or 8 months ago because you were on to me to watch it, and I got around to watching it because it's not something I deliberately avoided. I just never saw it, and so I came to it, you know, as a ripe old 36-year-old, and I thought it was fucking superb. Like, I just thought it was so good. So, you know, I didn't really have any. I didn't build it up in my head or anything, but I was very, very pleased. Met my expectations. I thought it was fantastic. Really funny, just dry.
It's just so forgotten. I think that's the thing with it. Is it's like because I think I happened upon it. It was one of those films that I just happened to see on television back when I guess I was like a teenager or something, and I was just like, oh my god, this is great. And then it's just always been around, like whenever it's been on by accident and I've seen it, and it's just eventually sort of brainwormed its way into my head as just a really great film. And so it's weird to me that it just doesn't get talked about. It never gets talked about, this film, at all. But it's so good. It's so good.
Well, it's you know, it's part of the Martin Brest oeuvre, which is an interesting collection of films. I think it's very emblematic of his style. I just have to reference Adam and Joe, as Adam and Joe once sang in Midnight Run. He showed to us a lighter acting style, proving he could swear a lot and also make you smile. Which is the first time I heard of this song. Was this film? I guess was in 1998 in that song, and then never watched it for 20 years, like a cunt. but there you go. And the great Charles Grodin, if I guess
in
France, yeah, who's still kicking and is like 170 years old or something, which is God love him. Because De Niro's really run with the comedy thing, hasn't he? I mean, it's endless De Niro comedies now.
Yeah, but like not.
Oh, hey,
where
no,
he's
they
the
look
butt of the joke though. Like, not really. Like, you know, it's all like dirty grandpa.
Yeah.
Grandpa done a naughty. Like, it's all that shit now, and it's just like really like grandpa's
Stinky
got
uncle.
the shit.
Yeah,
it's kind of like grumpy old naughty grandpa, and it's just like, really, like, I saw one got released recently.
Is that any relationship to Dirty Grandpa? Because it's
I've no
Grandpa
idea.
does a something, Grandpa does a thing, or whatever. I kind of know, but it's it's I couldn't tell if it was part of the Grandpa oeuvre, featuring Walken as well. This new, the latest in the Grandpa canon.
Of course, the best in the world. He's old but cantankerous.
Oh, it always works.
Hey, there's a little bit more to. Hey, no.
See, we don't need either of them.
You're wrong.
We get them for cheap here. We get both in one
you
man.
Get Poundland, yeah. But This is the thing, right, with De Niro, because like, he was built up as this guy. He was like every role he would pour himself as like taxi driver. He went and trained to be a taxi driver for a million years or whatever. He learned New
He
York.
turned into a car and took people out on his back or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, there's that whole thing when you set that precedent. It's like, in Meet the Fockers, did you have a daughter just so you could see what it was like to see her get married to a weird, to Ben Stiller or whatever, it's like, how far, like, do you really have to live every element of it? Like, in this, did he become a bounty hunter, bail bondsman?
The whole method thing, isn't it? It's
we've I put no effort into my role.
I can, having recently directed you, I can verify that you were dreadful, unprofessional drunk on our set every day.
That's harsh. That's a half truth.
I wasn't unprofessional. Hi, Duncan and Richard, says Sacramento, sending us 5 USD. That's American for US dollars. I should pronounce it USD. Send that email, Duncan. I guess that's something from your stream. And got my first COVID vax today, and I'm excited. Hope you guys are well. We hope you're well too, Zachary.
Oh, right. Okay. Wonderful. Yes, I need to check the Val Verde account because I haven't looked in it for a while. So apologies, Zach, but very good. I will get back to you. I think. Did I get back to you? I don't even know. I don't know.
We're both quite fried. We're quite fried at the moment.
We are quite fried. But yeah, very good. Very good, sir. And please don't take slow response to mean no response.
We get there in the end. I did have a big clear out of the Val Verde inbox a few months ago, reply to everybody who hadn't yet heard from us.
Right.
So I guess we're due for another one of those, which we should do. The Vardan points out De Niro was such a brilliantly random character in Brazil. De Niro's turn in Brazil is amazing. I love that. That whole thing is great. He is really good. I mean, I don't begrudge him these kind of shit comedies and hacky roles he does. Are kind of like, he's Robert De Niro. He's earned it, and he seems really cool. He seems like a nice to get on with funny guy. Like,
I have I guess secondhand information on that he is a lovely, just very affable, kind, nice person on set and totally unassuming. Because I had an ex who worked on Stardust,
the Matthew Vaughn movie.
Yeah, and just said he was bombing around trailer. He's like in interviews he's very reserved and shy, and he's not an extrovert, but he's very like just nice, just a really lovely dude. So all the love for De Niro. It's just I find I think it's more the way he's talked about that I find harder to square, perhaps. But there you go.
Yeah, give fair play to him, I say. Just FYI. So guys, I'm not hanging around myself long after the stream, and by extension Duncan, because I have to turn everything off because I've got OBS. But it's going to be a bit of a short hangout after the stream because we are back doing a day of pickups tomorrow on our movie, and I'm getting there at like 11, and then Duncan will be around later on, so I'm going to be there all day, and I've got to check and double check my shot list and pack my bag and get all my batteries charged and shit. So I'm going to be not stick around long afterwards. I do apologise. Normal service will resume shortly. I do have this though, and I'm not going to have a lot of it, but I feel like I've had a celebratory one of these. You're already poured. He's already bloody poured.
I'm poured. I have a Dalhousie 15-year-old.
Duncan got me this because he's a diamond. He bought me my fave. Oh. He knows my fave.
It was a very small token of gratitude from, I think, everyone concerned. The amount of work you've put in to our short film. Well, your short film.
No, it's our short film. It's our movie. You don't do anything. Nobody's an island. The amount of hours people put in. It's our movie. Yeah. The great thing about saying it's our movie, that's something I learned from someone I respect very much, is it's saying it's not my film, it's our film. Is you do cross a line when, if it starts to look like the film's going to be bad, people will be like, you don't have to say our movie. This is your movie. It's your name. Maybe just take all that. You'd say you did the sound and the computer graphics and it's all you.
I'm Alan Smithy.
Yes. You were Richard Jackson's the new Alan Smithy name. But yeah, I think as those of you who follow my Instagram will have seen that I've put lots of creepy crawlies and creatures on my Instagram the last couple of days, because I had what was supposed to be quite a short day of videography with an exotic pet company turn into 2 12-hour days, which then pushed all of my work, all my day job work, into today, like a sort of compound fracture of busyness, and then I didn't get confirmation from the venue for the shoot until today, which is not on them. They doing all kinds of good stuff for us. So yeah, I'm just a bit dopey.
We're busy men. I mean, we are incredibly lucky because plenty of people have not been in our line of work. So I think we've done all right. We've come through this, and hopefully we're nearing the end now. But I think we've both been very fortunate in how things have shaken down. Not always been, easy. Don't get me wrong. But I think we've done all right.
A drink to that.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah, cheers. And I hope the rest of you are doing okay as well, because I mean, God, it's so uncertain. But this is the thing, it's like you and I sort of, I for the last 11 years, and you for the last 3 or 4 years, we've existed in an era of uncertainty. Anyway, this is being
it was my 5th anniversary in October.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since we're talking about self-employment, folks, but yeah, that's pretty fucking nuts. That's pretty crazy to think about.
I didn't realise it'd been 5 years.
Neither did I, till I can't remember what I was doing. I was going for old invoices for some reason.
Tax return.
yeah, it was something boring. And I was like, oh yeah, that was October 2015. Hold on. No. It's my 5th anniversary this October. It's October 2016.
You jumped the gun, everyone. Let's put down the bunting.
the e-bunting. There is a super chat from Sean Northridge that I guess you should read before it mentions you.
I don't want to. Sorry. Have a lovely night. Can't stick around long. Oh, that's a shame. A lot of drawing to do tonight. Currently drawing Duncan fighting a T-Rex with a Tommy gun. Very good. Very interesting. Is this a stick mag or a barrel?
A barrel! It's more commonly on that machine gun referred to as a drum.
A drum, of course, but I thought I would just sneak that in there.
Wing Kong Exchange straight in. Were you about to do that? He's done another super chat.
There's PayPal. No, I was just going to go to PayPal. You go.
Well, Wing Kong Exchange says, and this is textbook Wing Kong Exchange, and I love it. Tell you what, it's £9.5.
And he sends £9. Very good. Very good.
Textbook super chat.
Back of the net. Jacka Nakanori.
Steve Allen's on the barrel count. He's in the chat with the barrel count. Keep it up, Steve.
Andrew Capit sends £10 as always. Our sort of silent partner is Andrew.
Yeah,
Capit,
I know. A kind of a quiet patron, isn't he? Like not in the Patreon sense.
I sort of fear that he may have set up some sort of regular thing and not been aware of it. Thank you. Annalise Moshland sent us £10 also. Thank you so much. This evening, guys, thrilled to see Midnight Run finally happen. Me too, Annalise. Me too. Hope the film is going well. Can't wait to see it. Very good. Thank you very much. Philip Casey, my dad, sends £10 as good luck fellow. So thank you, Dad. That's Philip. Really kind. Thank you. Everyone send my dad some well wishes because he's been all right, but he's had he's not been that well.
Okay.
Bit of illness.
Okay. Well, everybody send your best to Philip, including my best. Philip, you have my sedate, low energy best, but I'm giving you all my love.
It's all good. Thank you. Yes. So, this is our first stream back for a few weeks, isn't it? After being
we had a TTYB stream last week, and then we had no stream the week before. Oh no, you did the Q&A stream.
I did a Q&A, yeah.
And then there was Big Lebowski. We meant to say, guys, it was a big error. Big Lebowski came the day before our first year stream anniversary, so it's now been a year and sort of 3 weeks since we first did the Roger Corman Fantastic Four stream, which was me getting OBS probably for the first time and piping Skype calls into it and sitting in Mike's girlfriend's bedroom next to a kind of pink lamp. It was all pretty dreadful, technically speaking. And in a lot of ways it hasn't improved. But yes, we've been doing this for a year, streams for a year since this COVID madness, which is crazy. Because
it's nuts, isn't it? I mean, we're still talking about. It's funny because I was thinking the other day, like we need to get back to filming regular stuff, and it almost feels like we've done this more than we have the other stuff, which I don't think is true, but it's getting to that point.
Catching up. I think we did about a good year and 3/4 of traditional Val Verde broadcasting before Plague came, or Plague soon come. And now it's this. Though we did spend what went unremarked upon, I think, last week. So we spent 2 days in each other's delightful company, 2 long days. Is we have therefore in the last year had 3 encounters in each other's presence. I think there's one swapping posters in a car park, the time you stood on my drive, and then a 2-day back-breaking film shoot.
This is true. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think we've done well not to kill each other.
It's extended quarantine, because if we'd been seeing each other every week as normal and then did the punishingly long film shoot, yeah, we would have fucking killed each other. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't.
No.
Do you know what? Making a film with you has been a delight, and I think it'll be good. I mean, I've only seen one rough cut of a scene, but I think it worked. I think your script has or your screenplay has translated well. So
yeah, you used to sell the comedy well. It was a delight to behold. So things to pick up tomorrow, and then my rough cut's nearly there. But I've been doing my day job all week. Day job as a freelancer is a bit of a misnomer, but I've been doing my day job all week, really. So I haven't had much chance to do much else. Regards to Titawabum, as we call it.
Too many consonants.
Too many consonants. Yes. Those are three words that are the same word that I just said 3 times because I feel like my brain's going to melt out my nose. I'm so tired.
Should have called it type until you bleed. And then tired.
Simon Callahan in our production group, we were theorising a sequel about cake, and Simon Callahan very astutely came up with Type 2 Till You Bleed, which is a genius name for a sequel, which would be about diabetes and cake. Which it's a bit of a change up from the haunted retro computers. But is it haunted, or is it a science haunting, or isn't it? You'll have to find out by watching it when it comes out, if it ever comes out, which should be in the future. Release date, the future.
Well, as I said, I think I said on the Q&A, it's the plan is to do festival circuits, so that's going to be from when it goes into the first one, which is looking like September, maybe. That then it'll probably be a year from then, because you have to try and do the festival circuit, which is a year long. So, I mean, maybe sooner.
Excepting a private screening, which is the thing that I theoretically I said on the Q&A would love to do.
Yes, once it has screened at an festival, we can indeed do that. We just don't. We can't really put it out on the channel publicly, but we could do a screening. Yeah.
Also, I'd put it on Vimeo and direct you to it with a link, because YouTube would compress it and make it look shit.
All that, yeah.
I mean, I just put it on YouTube and stop being a cunt, really. But there you go.
You are.
I should just put it on YouTube and stop being a cunt. But there you go.
We'll definitely put it on YouTube. It's not that. It's just best practice when it comes to if you bung it on YouTube, then festivals tend to look at that unfavourably.
Yeah, it counts as broadcast, and they don't want to know. So
yeah.
I'm just going to close my window, for it's colder now than it was earlier, and also. There's noise. Give me a minute.
All right. Well, Richard's away. Pooh and Willie and other things I shouldn't say. Let's have a look in the chat. What's going on in the chat? Captain Meets Adventures. Last night I did 2 Michael Caine's classics, Beyond the Poseidon Adventure and The Swarm. Very good. Interesting. I have seen neither of those films. So Beyond the Poseidon Adventure is presumably about diving, because surely...
Yeah, there is I forgot there was a sequel to the Poseidon Adventure. Yeah. Oh God, no, I've not seen that. That's
And it's about a boat that sinks, right? So why is that an adventure?
The next one is about a boat that goes up into the sky. No, it's about a submarine that goes into the sky. That's what it's about.
Ah, right, right. Okay.
That's right. Or maybe it's about an upside down plane. I don't know. What's the opposite of the Poseidon Adventure? Oh God! Right. Anyway, so have you never seen The Swarm with Michael? No. Look at the size of that bloody wasp. He does not say at any point.
No, that's right. I haven't seen that.
Michael Brooks has brought up a point, and it's something that Michael, someone called Michael, brought up to me, which is that there are like 3 DTV Midnight Run sequels.
Yes, I heard this before. Yeah.
Which I didn't know about at all.
Me either. Yeah.
Yeah.
There can be only one McLeod.
Like it's Shooter McGavin from I can never remember his name. He's in Star Trek as well. You remember Shooter McGavin from
Yeah.
he is Robert De Niro's character in them.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. Because what did he crop up in recently? I saw some sort of retrospective documentary about a film that he was in. What would it have been? And he was talking about it. He was talking about something anyway, and he looked haggard.
Right.
That dude looks like he has issues. He probably doesn't. He's probably just cool.
Well, wasn't he like whoopsie-daisy? Wasn't he like an SNL guy or something?
I don't know.
I don't know. Some kind of American.
He was in Terminal Velocity.
Oh, was he?
The Charlie Sheen skydiving airbrake.
It's easily my favorite. It's my favorite Charlie Sheen skydiving film.
I think it's up there.
Yeah. He was the captain of the Enterprise D in the Star Trek TNG episode Yesterday's Enterprise.
Right.
So there you go. Duncan is thrilled to know that. Great episode. You should.
Something about Jedi.
I had to watch for some reason. I think someone commented on our Last Jedi review. And I was just walking around town bored, getting some pandemic leg stretching. And I just had to, I shouldn't laugh at your own jokes, but I had to watch that again. And the thing is, we had a blast making that. It took all of 20 minutes to make. It took me all of fucking half an hour to edit. It made a lot of people really angry. So I didn't watch it for a while. And then watching it again now, knowing why it made people angry, it's even funnier to me. Because it's so obviously a fucking joke. Like, come on.
Yeah, anyone who takes that sort of deadly serious is kind of missing a trick, really. But yeah, whatever. I don't care.
Don't care.
I don't know. I mean, the idea that you post a comment on someone's YouTube video and they're supposed to give a fuck. I mean, not in that, like, obviously there are people we know and love who support us and everything, but if you're just some rando who's going like, you didn't understand, and you clearly demonstrate a complete lack of awareness, then good luck to you.
Fair play. I've got something about two things. Sam Montgomery just said Star Wars, and that's the bit that was cracks about, because the corpsing in that was super genuine as well. Because I think the Star Wars thing. Because I think I just wanted to say Star Wars, and you just improvised. You just did a call and return and said Star Wars, and it's possibly the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Also, watching it back, when I'm doing my lines, you're just corpsing so hard and trying to hide it.
I'm so bad. Like, I am really well, because as you know, like, things set me off. As you know, like when I had a scene I had to try and keep a straight face for in our film, and it was the hardest. It's so hard, but when you know what the thing, I always have to get like annoyed with myself. That's how I break through it, because I'm just like, I'm so pissed off with myself that I won't corpse eventually. But there's been stuff. I remember, like, on Erica, I did it a bunch of times. There was one where we were doing a sort of deadly serious thing, and the problem with that fucking thing was there was always like you had to leave a beat in various points in the script because they were junctures, and so Holly had to kind of be a bit like while the player decided what they were going to do. And it wasn't like you didn't leave it indefinitely, but it was left at a point where you could kind of leave it on a loop so that it would look natural.
Oh, sure, yeah, like it's like in Bandersnatch as well. It would loop, so the character would stand there waiting for a response type thing.
Yeah, and they did a good job of making it look kind of natural. Like, it didn't look like a loop; it kind of looked. But there was we did one, and someone like beeped a horn outside where we were shooting, and it just sounded like a fart. It was just like outside.
Of course,
we corpsed, but of course I kept doing that. So for every time that we get to that point where it was silent, I would just be like, and start laughing. Because I'm an unprofessional idiot, which is so hard. But I had to get to the point where I was just annoyed with myself because I had, like, I don't know, 50 crew standing around.
Right, you were highly pro. You kept corpsing on the first scene of our movie because of the wonderful deadpanning of Michael Geary.
Yeah,
because the first take I corpsed. I'm not an actor. I was directing it.
Yeah,
because it's just, I don't know. Look, being a fucking fart huffing cunt, I saw my own dialogue being delivered in a funny way. It's like, I'm laughing at my own joke, and then and then you and Michael just kept fucking laughing. The next one. So. And
the worst part about it is I had to eat Haribo while staring him dead in the eyes.
Yes,
I was just like,
in the rough edit I've done, because I shot that shot reverse shot, so there's the master shot and then there's the kind of 2 close-ups. I edit it in a way, and this might change because it's a rough cut, but I edit it in a way where that just goes on forever. Like, I made it as long as the footage would allow, and it's just you just eating, and Michael's eyes watch the Haribo go into your mouth. That's the best part. It's fucking amazing.
He's amazing.
These are all the things you have to look forward to in our exciting movie film.
Haribo. And everything.
I've also had Toby Venables approach me with a short film concept that he wants to write for me to direct, and hopefully I'll tell you about that off air. But that sounds really clever, and it's a really good idea. And we already talked about putting you in it.
Banging,
obviously. So that's exciting. BAFTA award-winning screenwriter having his script ruined by Val Verde Broadcasting. It's just loads of fart jokes.
That's failing upwards.
Yeah, baby. We better get a move on. Well, 4 minutes, four of your Earth minutes, a mere 240 of your Earth seconds until we watch Midnight Run. The wonderful Midnight Run. Thank you very much. So get your copy ready wherever that is. I've rented mine from Google. You have it on Apple TV.
I have it on the Apple, which probably means we're going to be wildly out of sync as per usual.
I'm just gonna ignore it. If you say what part are you in, I'm just gonna say the same part as you.
Okay.
It's your film.
It is, and do you know what? I know precious little about it, other than that I love it and I've seen it a bunch of times. But again, much like The Big Lebowski, there's not. I choose not to know too much about it. Like, I don't want to delve into the behind the scenes of it all, really, because it's kind of like that's not the point. And certainly with this film, it's like that's really not the point. This is part of the kind of that sort of 80s, but it falls into the buddy cop thing, doesn't it? Even though it's not buddy cop, but it
has buddy cop energy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Unlikely partners forced together.
I'd take a gentleman's bet with you on this. I bet if you were to read the IMDb trivia page or Wikipedia, it will say this was offered to, and here's a big list of 80s comedy actors. Like, this was supposed to be for Eddie Murphy and Sylvester Stallone or whatever. I bet you there is a ton.
Bill Murray and blah, blah,
Bill Murray and another Bill Murray.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. I mean, we're going to double up.
Just put a mirror next to him.
I think it's the energy of the two of them that really, but also the supporting cast as well are just so fucking good. Like, Yaphet Kotto is, I mean, who would, again, it's like you look at Yaphet Kotto, would you really cast him as a sort of straight-laced FBI agent who's on the trail of them and is constantly made a fool of? I suppose, I mean, in the one sense, when you look at him, he's such a sort of big, dignified personality in a way, yet has that kind of working man accessibility at the same time. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely, yeah. Because I think if you look at him play blue collar, as he does, like Alien's a good example, but he also has a kind of inbuilt Shakespearean dignity to him. You know what I mean?
Because like Live and Let Die, he has that. Live and Let Die is another thing where it's like he's on the face of it a dignified guy, but he's also a drug dealer. So it's like that kind of weird. He has a facade almost, but it's kind of like in this, it's like he's just an increasingly angry man, but a great foil for Robert.
It's so good, and the way he comes back round in the third act with him is I don't know why, but the chat is just all doing fart puns for films, and I feel like I've been welcomed home. You know what I mean? It's like a big hug from my mum and dad. Just seeing people talking about farts in about.
They just got fed up of what we're talking about.
Yeah, All right, 1 minute left, team. 1 minute left, and then we're gonna get fucking on it. I'm lo-fi today. I need my cameras and stuff for tomorrow, so I just went with the old webbed cam. Here you go. Here's a bit of sexy leg for you to look at that. Oh, look at that knee. Aren't you a lucky bunch? Aren't you so lucky? Give a super chat for leg. I'll share some scrotum for more. If you some scrotum.
Yeah, it looks like a sausage that fell on a bar shop.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. That's the look I'm going for.
That's right.
Oh god, if I shave my beard, I look like a hot dog with a face drawn on it, so it seems appropriate. No chin. That's what beards are for.
You look like that. What's it called? Sausage Fest.
Oh, sausage. or Beaker from the Muppets when I had hair. But everybody knows my real one is Fry from Futurama, which was weirdly uncanny. And
yeah.
And now I've aged into his older self. Oh, I've forgotten his name. I mean, Lars.
Farnsworth.
Lars from the movie when Time Displaced Fry comes bald with a beard. Yeah. Anyway.
No, Em doesn't. I'll be whatever I want to do.
Well, now I have to fucking watch Futurama because that's put me in a Futurama
good.
mood. Yeah, it's all on Prime. I think. I suppose it'll all be on fucking Disney Plus.
It'll be on Disney. Yeah. It's mate, it's so good. Futurama. I mean, I had the first because they went to 4 seasons and then cancelled it, and then it's come back and gone away and come back and gone away. But those 4 seasons are just the best.
The revival seasons are good.
They are,
the ones after the movies, they are good, but they're not original recipe quality, but they're still fucking good. There's a bunch of really classic stuff in those as well. Should we count in for another round? Would you like to? Do it however you want to do it.
Okay.
Appropriate.
Here we go. A little bit of this. All right. No. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, play. Fuck you. Alright, fuck you. It didn't play, but it's playing now. Alright.
There you go. Show to us a light directing style.
That's right.
I'm just gonna
Universal.
Relax into my chair and drink and just chill out. Need more fats.
It's been a long day. It's been a frantic day, isn't it? I've had a bit of a frantic day as well. I've had some wine as well.
No, have you? Wine and whiskey, you mad fuck. Okay, fine.
The 2 W's.
The 2 W's, whiskey and wine, and you'll be just fine. That's the famous rhyme, isn't it?
Whiskey, wine, and no. What is it? It's Californication because whenever he finishes a book, it's whiskey, weed, and Warren Zevon.
Right.
Not my 3 W's. I love this. So right off the bat, right? It's like he's you demonstrate that he's just someone who he's self-serving, right? So it's like he doesn't really give a shit about the rules and stuff. Like he breaks into an apartment, ducks and then boom, shotguns.
Because definitely,
he's just lucky.
The Nice Guys is doing a riff on this. You know when Gosling tries to break into that thing at the beginning and cuts his hand open. It's the same thing. It's all the kind of wise guyery that's taken down a peg. The difference here is that De Niro can pick the lock. He just happens to get shot at. It's the difference.
Well, it shows as well. It's like he's a fly by the seat of his pants kind of guy. He's fairly self-destructive. So he doesn't care that much about his own safety. He's just sort of, and that's obviously then borne out by the fact that he's estranged from his ex-wife and daughter, like in quite a major way, because he turns up and obviously hasn't seen her for a long time. And that's a pivotal scene, right? Is when they turn up.
I like that as well, because there's never any suggestion of any reconciliation or anything. It's just it's there and it's necessary, and that's who we can go to for help. There's never any kind of shoehorned in romance thing. This fucking clown, man.
I love the door thing. The whole opening the door on people. Marvin or whatever, because he's the guy from Beverly Hills Cop, isn't he?
He is. Another Martin Brest movie. I do. Do you know what? So I have. Let's just do this now. So Martin Brest, right? I think there's a real vibe to his movies. I think there's a real. I'm bringing up his profile now to have a look. There's a real vibe to his movies. I think this and Beverly Hills Cop and The Scent of a Woman are really good examples of what he does. And it's that kind of urban focused kind of bit of wise guyery and kind of capers and stuff. But quite adult, quite grown up in their own way. Gigli killed his career, right? He hasn't done a movie since Gigli, and it's and everybody hated the fuck out of that. Now, I'm not going to go to bat for Gigli. I have seen it. I saw it when it came out because whenever anyone's kind of like, "Oh, this is the worst film ever made," and it's like, well, it's not, though, isn't it? Is it? Because you haven't seen Project Shadow Chaser 4: The Gates of Time, or you know what I mean? Don't
or Types You Bleed.
or Touch You Please, yeah, or
or Kenny. Or any other thing you've done.
anything we've
Yeah,
done.
no. I'm joking. Yeah.
But that
yeah, exactly. That's always a bit of a spurious claim whenever someone says that.
that seems to completely top in his career. Now the thing is, people had, right, regardless, from what I remember, right, it's not good, right? It's not good. Plainly, it's not good. But it's not the worst film ever made, and people had the knives out for it because it was a Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez thing, wasn't it? And there's some questionable kind of sexual politics in it and stuff. But it was mostly just sort of a bit shit. It wasn't this kind of massive, offensive assault. And he never worked since. And it's like, dude made Scent of a Woman, Meet Joe Black, Midnight Run, Beverly Hills Cop. You know, had this run, and then it's just like, no more working for you.
One and done.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's. I know it's the same with Joel Schumacher, really, because it was kind of like Batman and Robin. I know Batman Forever, in the fullness of time, hasn't been that much, but like, basically, it was just Batman and Robin, and it was like, get out, and that was it.
Yeah,
It's just done. Which is daft, because you're really throwing the baby out with the bathwater on that, because it's kind of like, yeah, look at all the great stuff he's done beyond that. But dude, I mean, this is just like it has a really dirty shitter aspect to it, which I just love.
Dirty street level American cities in the 70s and 80s. It's all cigarettes and pints of cream.
It really is, and obviously Joe Pantolioni's in it. I love that shot there. That's such a nice shot. Look at all the depth of field on it. I mean, you'd know better than I.
Yeah, well, this is the great thing to do in City. So you shoot down a long lens and you get lens compression. So he looks like a cardboard cutout against a kind of bokeh background. You track him down a telephoto. Looks beautiful. It really sells cities. That people love to do. I think it's something they've been doing since the kind of 60s and 70s. That thing in a lot of movies.
And this guy's the informant, isn't he? So he's like, I'm going to go out and get some donuts. You want anything? Or like, he's always going out for donuts, and he's going out to inform on to the mob, isn't he? Like, he's speaking to the mob. And obviously the great late Dennis Farina as well. And this is one of his first sort of forays into acting, I think, because he was a New York cop. He did obviously Manhunter. He was what's the character's name?
This is your
Jack
domain.
Crawford.
Jack
He was
Crawford,
Jack Crawford. Yeah, he was the original Jack Crawford. In Manhunter, and then he literally looks like he's drinking cream, but it's not. It's Pepto-Bismol, which it might as well be.
Because of the cream.
Because of all the cream, yeah. Look at that shirt. And he's actually got hair randomly.
Joe Pantoliano is one of those people in that the less hair he has, the younger he looks.
Yeah.
Because in The Sopranos, he had that ridiculous wig, which then was revealed to be an in-character ridiculous wig when he was kind of debased and stuff. So it's one of the TV shows I actually watched. It's a thing about the mob I actually watched. Because it's Sopranos.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
He has the most. This movie has the most vile wardrobe. And that horrible mullet and stuff. It's just like...
He's supposed to look rat-like and just because at the he's like it's kind of like he's money grubbing is his biggest crime. I mean, the great thing about all these characters is they're sort of drawn with broad strokes, but they have a core that is that you can cramp onto. You know, it's kind of got that, like everyone like De Niro has that thing. Yeah, he'll do anything to get what he wants, but he does have an accessibility. They all do, and like Joey Pants as well. Like he's a little rat-like Mosca type, but he still has a. You still feel bad for, like, at the end. It's because he does try and shop him, doesn't he? At the end, basically.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, but it's like you sort of look at him and you go like, I can kind of. He's not as unforgivable.
Yeah,
as
he's kind of Weasley, but he's not evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Perhaps a bit money grubbing, like you say, but he's not like.
Yeah.
Dan Lars has said, and I'm fucking seeing it in this scene. Dan Lars says, "Young Joey Pants reminds me of Casey Affleck." Yeah, he really does. Like, you shaved the beard off and put the hair on him, he'd fucking look well like Casey Affleck.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
The future of Casey Affleck in a Matrix prequel, I guess.
Something or nothing.
I do love Joe Pants. He's great. He's awesome. He's one of my. Yeah. I think the first time because he's obviously in the Goonies, but the first time I kind of knew I was watching him was in the Matrix when I was old enough to comprehend what it was. Because is it like Joey Pants and Robert Darby are brothers in the Goonies? Isn't that it?
I know it's not. He's in. For me, it was Bad Boys. He's in the Bad Boys films.
Of course. Well, I've seen Bad Boys for Life, which was so good that I'm never going to watch the first two.
It's the worst one.
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it, and I haven't seen the others. I'm sure the other two are better. I was just like, this is fine.
Yeah,
This is fine.
other two are the best, man. But he's so good, especially in the second one. Like he's just fucking angry the whole time. No, he's wonderful. Like he disappeared off the radar, didn't he? Pretty much in the early 2000s. He just after Sopranos wrapped. That was it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's it's a good one to have about. He always classes a place up for me. Look at his socks. Even he's got the worst socks. Look at everything. It's just the worst.
It's like, but you get this thing. It's like everything's a negotiation. You know, it's like I could do it for this. It's like that everyone's just always. This is the world that everyone's trying to pull a fast one on everyone, right? It's
everything's transactional, and it's about a bounty hunter and a dodgy accountant and stuff, and it's the whole.
Exactly, it is, and there's something inherently funny about everyone's a dick to everyone. It's just everyone's out for themselves, but in a sort of somehow a sort of non-evil or threatening
kind of
way.
Weirdly charming, isn't it? Like, you weirdly charming douchebag. Because the tension. I think we'll just call it buddy cop. For the sake of it, buddy cop energy. There are so many different ways to play that, and the classic one is the uptight one and the schlubby one. Sometimes the schlubby one's a dog or whatever. But this one, you've got the kind of the white collar criminal and the blue collar cop. Former cop, really.
He is a former cop, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like because the mob disgraced him and forced him out and stuff, so he lost his pension and everything. Is that it?
Yes, because of Dennis Farina's character. He's basically, he had to. I love all this stuff. Like Alonzo Mosley, FBI, and they never really. Well, I guess because they're following the Duke, right? So it's like they want to get to the Duke. This guy, the guy on the right, he was in Sex and the City and stuff, wasn't he?
Was he?
Mr. Big in Sex and the City.
Oh, was he?
But I know that I watched that, but when we watched this, my wife said that.
You can't hide behind your wife, Duncan Casey. We see you.
I've watched it end to end.
No, wanked myself silly. Hey.
Yeah, man. Yaphet Kotto with the sunglasses. Because that's the thing. At every encounter that he has, Robert De Niro nicks something off him. Or he's always having stuff stripped from him,
doesn't he?
Isn't it? Yeah, like whether it's him or Marvin, taking his cigarettes, or no, he takes Marvin's cigarettes. That's right. Someone's always taking something off someone. There's no. I mean, I don't say that in a sort of to try and create some giant subtextual. It's all about theft. It's not. It's just a film that knows exactly what it's doing, and it knows how to be entertaining, and it knows its characters. Like, it's a really character-driven film.
I think the idea of it being like everything is transactional. That's what I like. I think there's a lot to be said for that, and that's the theme. I think transaction. I do love how, because as a kind of movie that goes all over the place and tracks across America and dig, and they have to do everything, go all these places. I love how crazy it goes, because I was not expecting like a helicopter chase later on. It's just like, fucking hell, this was sort of low key an hour ago, and now there's like a helicopter.
It goes. It just so that they end up in the desert, right? Look at that.
I love that. He spins around with the badge, like.
It's so good.
Oh yeah, because he's doctoring. Isn't he doctoring the passport on the plane? Like he's putting
the
passport,
badge,
sorry, the FBI badge.
Yeah.
Look at the little kids watching as well.
It's such a sort of doesn't care, corruption of innocence type thing. It's just like whatever, making a fake FBI badge.
That is ballsy. Of all the badges to fake, of all the identities to fake. So
which shows that he has he just has no qualms about doing whatever he has to do to to get stuff done. And as if his name would be Alonzo Moses. You know what I mean? But it's just it's great, man. It's just fun. This is just this I don't think was ever made for anything other than just an entertaining buddy cop type film, but it's it's just a fun time. I just love watching it. I just think it's really great.
It's a highly entertaining movie, man. Again, I'm always fixated on smoking in airports, and one of the things that does my head in about, because we're old enough to sort of just about remember the old days of smoking everywhere. I mean, even to be fair, up to 2007, because I remember being in like a curry place and everyone would be smoking, and it's just like, I'm eating, like, what the fuck? But sometimes I would be smoking. Anyway, people in
I'm smoking.
It's just the way it happens.
Do carry on.
There's a cigarette in my mouth. Okay, is it complimentary? I'll have another. People smoking in airports, for example, and other places, where, as they did all the time, it's just like they just flick ash on the floor and walk about. It's like that goes somewhere. Like, you put it on the floor. Like every that's it. That's the era of dirty shitters. It's like everybody's like everywhere.
Dude, it's so crazy now to think. Yeah, it was the 7th of the 7th, 2007. Because I remember I played I used to play in a band, and my first band. And was it my first band or my second band? Anyway, we played our first gig on the very day that the ban came into effect. And I remember there was all cries of nanny state stuff, and it was kind of like, yeah. I mean, that was one of those, like, yes, technically, but the upshot is I don't have to stink of fags everywhere I go.
Quick visit to the pub or a restaurant, and then you have to burn everything you wore. Like
you have to burn all your clothes. Yeah. I used to hate that, and when I shot, I think the last time I experienced it was when I was in Prague back in 2013, and I was shooting an advert, and I was over there for a weekend, and they didn't have a smoking ban, and I was sitting in a restaurant. This is like 6 years after it had been banned here, and I'm trying to eat, and people are just sparking up all around me, and I was like, fuck, like, I can't taste anything.
You forget how noxious it is when it's stopped. Like,
yeah.
Fucking, man. I think, because Peru, I was in Peru and Bolivia, and I think one of the hostels we stayed in Peru would be like by the pool table. Me and Simon were by the pool table just chain smoking, and everybody was, and it was thick with it to your throat hurt. I was smoking, because I do smoke, so I smoke when I've had a drink usually, which I'm not proud of, but whatever. I generally don't, but I used to, like, 2007 when the ban came in, me and a group of my friends went on like a kind of hell for leather smoking crusade, because like the last night of smoking in pubs, it was just full of people going like, no, we'll never do it again. And just go into clubs and stuff, and then immediately every nightclub or rave the following week smelt of farts, and this is on brand for us, and we'll get back to beauty in a minute, but something that's happened that people who lived through the changeover, who were into kind of the dance music scene or gigs as well, noticed that for years, since clubs and cigarettes have been a thing, everyone was just farting all the time, and in that adjustment period they didn't know to not do that, and you'd be stood there and someone would walk past you of any height, size, shape, you name it, and just go and just let one go. And then I don't know if we all just became noseblinds to farts in clubs, or everybody realised like, oh, I can no longer just fart here. It was the strange side effect of the smoking ban, but there you go. I
didn't notice that, but fair enough.
It was madness. It was everywhere smelled of fags and BO. Now it just smells of BO. But yeah, people used to fart like crazy, is all I was saying. That's my sociological observation. I'm trying
to remember here what he does, because he pulls some trick, doesn't he, where he's like, that's right, he phones up pretending to be the FBI, but he's run a tap on their line or whatever, so when he hangs up, she phones immediately to see if he's there, basically, because he's trying to track down the Duke.
He uses his wiles.
Yeah, and he's shown to be a resourceful, clever, wily person, isn't he? That's what
I think. It's a good example of kind of down on his luck guy, because he's had the shittest time. Like, his backstory is really sad and everything, and it's kind of like when he does these kind of mildly criminal things, it's kind of like, good for you. Everybody's fucked you over. Good for you. Fine.
Whereas I think you can see why he wouldn't give a shit anymore, kind of thing. It's Yeah. See, there was lots of talk about people were doubting De Niro's lockpicking skills in the chat, because I know there's lots of lockpicking YouTube channels. So I'm not gonna get into that. There's a channel called Lockpicking Lawyer, which appears to be run by some kind of wizard.
because it's this sort of
right.
oh, this lock is supposed to withstand 15 charging buffalo and a 50 megaton device. I'll just get my paperclip here, and I've opened that in 47 seconds. Like, everything on his channel is really short because he gets all these locks and opens. Though in one episode, which I do think is cheating, he shot the lock with a sniper rifle, a 50 cal sniper rifle, just to see if it was as strong as they claimed. But he's very, 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 very good at picking locks, and it makes me mildly frightened for my own safety, in case one of his kind is. Yeah, well, yeah, because he has a sniper rifle that's very big and can open any lock like a magic man. Oh, the quite low numbers this week. Fair enough. We're down to 69. Nice.
The sexiest,
the sexiest number of all. Oh, that's Mr. HEC's a locksmith. Sorry, I was so surprised.
This is the thing, because it's, you know, oh, they're not doing Terminator, Robocop, so fuck it off. And it's like, right, but those same people will be like, why? That's all you ever do.
Where's the man who paid to insult us the other week? He's the guy who hates us.
Yeah, come back.
We do this. Also, Mr. HEC is a lockpicker. Locksmith here, says Mr. HEC. Lockpicking movies is bullshit. There you go. I wonder if it's one of those things though where they can't really show you too much because then it's, you know, instruction.
Yeah, it's not like that. Exactly. They want to tell everyone how to actually break into something.
Someone just looks down the camera and tells you how to make plastic explosives for 5 minutes.
This is another thing where it's like the constant indignity of all the characters. Like, he got chased into a shower by a dog, yeah. And he's trying to be intimidating from inside a shower. You know, and he's the one behind bars, effectively. Like, he's the one imprisoned, and he has to come out and still be like, you know, dignified.
Grodin's character as well. You can tell even from when he arrests him with a gun to his back, he's not impressed.
Well, he's got the long game, right? Because even by you know, obviously by spoilers at the end, like he has all that, he has the money bag that he gives to him, with like $300,000 in it or whatever, and it's like, so he's always ahead. Yeah. Like, you find out at the end, like, he was always ahead.
He got where he is for a reason.
And I suppose, sort of archetypally, he's the kind of, what is it? He's the, not the oracle, but he's the sage, or the, you know what I mean? Like, he's the one who just, he saw it all from beginning to end, and he's the kind of, I don't know what, I'm sure there's a word for it. But yeah, he's just sort of, he's the clever one. I love there's that scene, I don't know why it's so good, but there's that scene where they go to they're in a diner or whatever, and he's just like, she's like, you want coffee or tea? He's like, he just goes, how much is coffee? 50 cents. How much is tea? 50 cents. I'll have tea. It's just like, because he spends so long considering it, and it's like, why did you ask the price if that wasn't a contributing factor?
He's so like, good because he's such an irritant, isn't he? He does things like that. It's like, well, it's the whole trying to escape in the plane and stuff as well. That's amazing. That's such a brilliant scene. You can fly. It's just like, what?
Because he refuses to fly earlier. Yeah, it's just yeah.
I'll tell you something that will please you, unless you know it already, because I'm just looking at the writer of this film, which is George Gallo. He wrote the original Bad Boys as well.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go.
I did not.
There you go. More reason for me to watch the original Bad Boys. I'm just put off by it being made by Michael Bay. I just don't like Michael Bay.
I mean, I would say it's probably the best Michael Bay. The Rock.
I did like The Rock. Actually, I did like The Rock. Yeah.
Bad Boys 1 and 2, or The Rock. I would say the three of those films are really fun, entertaining, good movies, I think. But, you know, you don't have to. But I think, yeah, definitely Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2. I think you'd like them, man.
I honestly liked the third one, and if that's the crap one, then cool. Crap. Like, that's, you know.
Yeah. No, if you actually liked that, I mean, bearing in mind.
I mean, I've got to say, liked is, you know, I thought it was fine. And I probably did a lot of texting, but I thought it was fine. I think Ivan likes the first two. He was kind of like, "Hey man, do you want to watch the third one? Do you want to watch the first two first?" I was like, "Fair, no. If you want to crack on with the third, I'm sure it'll be fine to watch the third."
Dude, definitely watch the first two. I think they're really, you know, I mean, the first one's very 90s, but still really good. Yeah, no, it's still really good, and the second one is just, I think, it's really funny. It's again buddy cop. They really are buddy cop films.
I don't suppose have you been watching the Falcon Winter Soldier thing.
No, I haven't.
It's got good buddy cop energy. They've really nailed that aspect. That those two, I think they showed it in the Civil War movie, but yeah, they've really built on those two. They've got great chemistry. I think Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan,
Nice.
who dares have two first names. But yeah, no, they've got great chemistry, and I think you've got two first names in America. I've got two first names in America. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
How strange. They put lots of people.
Look at what this idiot did.
In America. They do it on purpose, Duncan. Alan Partridge is back next week. How exciting! Yeah. Next Friday. Oh god, I'm gonna get a fucking takeaway and watch Alan next week. Surely next week I can be not stressed. Surely next week I can sit down and go for a bit. Surely, I reckon. I think that'd be fun. I just gonna keep drinking till that happens, and just wake up next Friday going like, "Oh, this is too bad." Look at that first class plane.
Yeah, that was first class. Then I saw someone, one of my friends, who's a director of photography, posted that she was on a plane going business class to wherever it was, India somewhere, and the state of business class now is like, whoa, yeah, you get your own little office basically that turns into a bed.
I've seen those ones, the hyper one where you get a room, like a little hotel room. Have you seen that?
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah, I think that's first class with like Arab Emirates.
Yeah, you have to go with like one of the. I mean, does it go? Which is the highest one? Is it first then business?
First, yeah. First is business is.
I didn't go on a plane till I was 22. I've never been on a fucking anything other than cattle class because Jesus Christ. They're on long haul. It's nicer, isn't it?
I've been business class once or twice. I got upgraded, but yeah, I mean but that was back in the 90s when that didn't really mean an awful lot. I love it. I love this thing where it's just like. It's like doing all this shit, and it's all performative. That's the thing. Yeah. It's just all a layered thing. It's not really
he's such a prick. He really
and then De Niro's going, "Come fly with me, come fly, let's fly away." He's just like dancing around. And that's the point, isn't it? It's getting a measure, like it's getting a measure of people, isn't it? People who think they know people, but they don't. And there's a lot of that sort of duplicity in. Alonzo Mosley, FBI. I love the way as well they've subtly, like with his costume, with De Niro's costume, they've gone from he had like a crisp white shirt to a sort of now more dirty looking. I mean, it's clean, but it's like a sort of, I don't know what that is, like an olive type khaki shirt to make him look a bit more dishevelled. And then as he goes on, it just gets more and more distressed and dirty, and it just looks like shit. I
envy whoever went on to make the other ones of this. It's like, dang, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Floyd Dillon says, unpopular opinion, I'm not a huge Alan Partridge fan. I don't find him funny. Floyd Dillon is banned. You're banned now.
No more of you, Floyd Dillon.
I've jokingly banned Floyd about 20 times in the last 6 months for errant opinions.
Here's the thing, I didn't get Alan Partridge for years. I used to think
you
it was
didn't,
stupid.
did you? Yeah, you were.
Because I was just surrounded by people who were constantly doing lines from it, and I was like, that sounds shit. I don't want to, what does that even mean? Fuck off, basically. And then I think my mate Jimmy, when I was living with him, because there was no getting away from it, he had to put it on, and I kind of sat through. It would have been the second season of I Am Alan Partridge? Yeah. And yeah, it was brilliant. And I was kind of like, I get it now.
I was hooked from the day to day, mate, because I watched all that Chris Morris, Ian Ritchie stuff as a kid, and I was just Know Me Knowing You was on the radio and stuff, and this is fucking so good, baked into my brain. This is what our kids are going to hate. This is just like, well, this is the comedy that our kids are going to be like, why do they find this funny? We're still waiting for the Partridge backlash. It's coming. I think it's our generation's kids that are going to hate it. So that's you have to put your daughter up for adoption, mate, because I won't stand for that. It's not too late. So, because Farina did, he kind of Rickmaned it, didn't he? He came into things very late. Actors.
Yeah. He was a cop. Yeah, he was a New York City cop. And he came into and he always it was this Get Shorty, Snatch, like he was just that. he was. I mean, he lent into it by sort of Get Shorty and stuff. He's much more of an imbecile, but like in this, he is. His character's like not smart enough, but he's still menacing. If you know what I mean.
He's a bit of he's a comedy character in Snatch, but he's still quite threatening and everything. Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck.
You bald fuck. I don't like leaving my own country, Larry. And I especially don't like leaving it for anywhere other than sandy beaches and little cocktails with little straw hats. It's because you get it's the boom bam, it's like Ellie. It's just like shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck.
Oh, maybe we should put some Guy Ritchie on. Maybe that's a watch party right there.
Dude, I mean, I think he's a wayward son, but I don't think he can make like certainly the first Sherlock Holmes film I thought was a real return to form for him.
Hey, look, I really loved Lock, Stock and Snatch when they came out. Snatch was the first 18 I saw in the cinema, and man's got a style. And fuck, Dennis Farina and Frank Butcher from EastEnders, the late Mike Reed. What a pairing that I never would have. Mary Poppins, cup of tea, England.
Yeah.
And it's got Goldie in it, Snatch. That's great. I think that's probably. I think because like doing like Aladdin and stuff, like a paycheck, it's like fair, whatever, fine. He's got that new Statham one coming out that's set in LA, which is about like revenge and robberies or something.
I saw The Gentleman. I didn't said anything much of that. It was all a bit sort of. It was pretentious. It was kind of like Matthew McConaughey is. Weed dealer. And it's kind of like everyone wears tweed jackets, and for some reason that's important. And
mate, Revolver was Zack Snyder levels of dumb.
It was just kind of
dumb.
And he had Hugh Grant doing a sort of silly accent, and Charlie Humdrum doing his. I mean, it's fine.
There's that King Arthur movie as well with Charlie Humdrum. He did the King Arthur.
Indeed, yeah. I'm nothing against those people. It's fine, it's just.
Mr. Wincom Exchange says, I've been banging on about a Snatch Watch Party for ages. I have a Snatch Watch Party for about 3 minutes twice a day. Ha ha ha, I'm talking about porn. Right. Mark Flanagan gives Wincom Exchange, a very loyal Valverdian. Well, let's see about that. Maybe we can get those on, get some Ritchie crime caper stuff on the channel. That would be
We need to find a third one. That's the difficulty with the guy Ritchie, but I'm sure we can.
Snatch twice. Duncan, says Mark Flanagan, giving $5 dollar dues. Can you compare Charles Grodin and De Niro as actors? They seem to have very different approaches.
Do they? I don't know what their approaches are. I couldn't tell you. I know that they are brilliant together in this, and I don't know. Because Grodin, obviously, it's this and Beethoven, I guess, and that's about all I know of his work. I don't, in terms of his mainstream stuff.
He popped up with stuff, didn't he? In a few different things. I'm not really so sure. I mean, he definitely. I think performatively, I can't speak about how they approach the roles, but performatively, they're both quite reserved. But Grodin's a bit. He does the more kind of crazy stuff. So when he pretends to be scared of flying and stuff like that. But there's lots of bits of Grodin just sort of like looking at things, which I really like, because he's doing a lot of his face and you're seeing what's going on in his head.
The point is, you're not, but then again, because generally speaking, it's De Niro's film, right? So you're kind of through his eyes. So I think the idea is that you're not supposed to get what Grodin is thinking most of the time. Like, he is thinking, but you're kind of like, there are times when you think you know what he's thinking, and then he's always one step ahead. So that's kind of, I like that. Like I like he plays that so well. I mean, there's so many times when you think you know what's probably going on in his head and you don't. And I think they're both fantastic. I wouldn't say one was better than the other in this. I mean, I think they're both absolutely perfect. I love this bit where he's got the guy chained to the radiator or whatever, and he's just sat on the bed like dirtily eating fried chicken and smoking a cigarette, and he's just like dirty shitter, and he's put him next to the TV so he can't see the TV. He's just like got an eye on him. because he's next to the television. It's just like, how could you sit there and watch TV with like some guy chained to the radiator next to it?
Like, it's every day is a bounty hunter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to see for everybody's benefit. Well, no, at least for us. But some people ask about Charles Grodin in the chat. Let's see what he done. Oh, the 70s King Kong. Someone did say that, but I didn't know what the context was. So the 1970s, the Dino De Laurentiis King Kong. He's still in Perfect Murder, 2017. He was born in 1935, which puts him in his 90s. Or very late 80s. I can't be bothered to do the maths. Let me see. Oh, he was in the Louis C.K. TV show, right? Okay. The Michael J. Fox show. Okay, all right. Law and Order. Okay, I'm just listing things.
This is the thing you sort of don't realize. Like people like him and De Niro and Stallone and all these people were like, come the 90s, they were well into their 50s. Like Harrison Ford and stuff. They were all in their 50s when they were doing like all the stuff we remember them for.
Oh, he's in the original Catch-22. Yeah, exactly. They're still around. He's in Ishtar. Beethoven, of course. So he married an axe murderer as commandeered driver. He's in the second Beethoven. Mm-hmm. Okay.
David Duchovny. I mean, the first Beethoven was David Duchovny's first thing.
Oh, is that where he's got like the ponytail and stuff?
I can't remember. He's only in a scene, I think, or one or two scenes.
Don't tell
I just remember the dog ties his lead round the garden furniture and pulls him and a lady over.
There's a film where David Duchovny plays a sleazy yuppie, and I can't remember if it's Don't Tell Mum the Babysitter's Dead or something. Just let's watch Richard Google things. Oh. Yeah, I think it is. It is. It's Don't Tell Mum the Babysitter's Dead where he played Richard. What are you talking about this? I don't know. Okay, I'm tired. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sorry, you're gonna have to bear with us today.
Welcome to our worst stream ever. I mean, and we set a pretty low bar. So that's... Oh, crumbs. Charles Grodin, like, definitely wearing a syrup as well, right? Like, that's a pretty suspect bit of rug speculation right there. He's got the Walter Koenig. I think so, man. Do you know why? Because it looks like Walter Koenig's since forever. I think even in Star Trek when he's 20, I think he's wearing a wig. But like, I don't know. It looks like a syrup to me. I don't know, man.
Okay. No, he's good. I like all this stuff as well because he sort of starts questioning him. He starts to bug De Niro, but it's like he's asking all these probing questions that he knows are just going to get to him. Yeah, like all that stuff. Like he knows what he's doing. He knows he's just wearing him down to the point where it's like, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing it? You don't need to do this. Like he's not even going after. He's not doing the whole like I'll give you more money because I mean ultimately that's what he does do. But it's only after he's let him go for moral reasons, which is such a nice thing. It's such a great payoff at the end, which is De Niro is on and on and on about needing to get him to back to New York. Is it back to New York or where is he going back to?
I can't remember the geography of this film. I can't remember exactly where because they go really travel because that's the whole thing. It's the ticking clock, isn't it? Exactly.
So he has to get him back to wherever in time, but and all he's talking about is because he wants to get isn't it 25 grand or something he's going to get for him, and if he gets that, then he can go and open his coffee shop wherever.
Yeah.
And he starts off by saying he's like coffee shops can be very, they're very volatile businesses. Very few people move it, and it's all this sort of stuff. And then I love this as well because you see this thing with the porter where he's like my buddy Jack. He forgot like, but he's just like he's the sort of sledgehammer version of De Niro. He's like he has all these dirty tricks that he thinks are really clever.
Yeah, exactly.
But he wishes he just was... about work. But don't He's like,
he wishes he was Jack.
Yeah, exactly. He starts wearing him down to the point where he's just like, "What are you doing?" And they have those great conversations where it's just like, "You shouldn't be doing this." And eventually he ends up with his daughter. He convinces him to go see his wife and daughter for help, and then now he knows why he has a reason to do well. And it's such a nicely observed. It's a power dynamic, I suppose. It's a power struggle, but it's such a wonderfully.
I did quite like someone, when a character in a film has a slightly crap opposite number. It's I do enjoy that. It's nice.
Well, it's a sort of Coyote Roadrunner thing as well, isn't it, with the pair of them? Because it's You know,
Right.
he's trying to set traps for him and get him all the time, and De Niro's like always
It's just
generally a step
constant
ahead.
humiliation as well. He just punches him in the gut and stuff. And then
Yeah.
later on with the car chase and shit, it's just endless. It just never stops.
What's the excuse for this? Because that's a classic shot. He like falls out the door backwards. He's on top. It's like, Alonzo Mosley, FBI, it's fine. Like, go away. Like, it just gets him thrown off at the next stop.
We're having gay sex.
Yeah. He goes, that's enough out of you. And it just smacks him in the head.
It's amazing what you can do when you have an FBI badge, isn't it? It's punch people.
Yeah.
And
it starts to wear off, doesn't it? Because he's trying to use it all the time, and eventually it just loses its. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying.
Oh well, someone in the chat said we should do an Alan Ford watch party. And you could have Lock, Stock, Snatch, and then Cockneys versus Zombies as a trio.
My friend produced that, actually.
Cockneys versus Zombies. Oh, I like that. It was good fun in a very tired genre, and it's lovely to see good old Alan. Anyway.
It was sort of the first of it, I think, wasn't it? It was one of the early
kind of. I mean, it was quite.
Or do you mean more broadly, like Alien versus Predator and that kind of stuff? Or do you?
Oh, the versus. Oh, I meant zombies rather than versus movies.
Oh, I see.
Oh, so I was. Yeah, we're talking about different things. Yeah.
It's,
No,
it's a subgenre, I suppose. It's quite.
Yeah. It's a sub.
Yeah.
I did watch Godzilla versus Kong actually the other day. Well, I say that. No, that's. I think I was partially watching Godzilla versus Kong. I think I was busily working on Touchy Bleed stuff and sort of not paying a dreadful amount of attention. It was directed by Adam Wingard, who directed The Guest, and it was alright. It was fun. Don't mind it. Yeah, I do want more of The Nice Guys. I watched that with my mum at Christmas on Christmas Day. I forgot all the porno stuff in it. I was like, oh yeah, it's about porn basically. It's alright. I'm old enough to sit and watch that kind of thing with my mum, which is something that sounds like it's dying to be taken out of context. No one. The Nice Guy so nicely racks up for a sequel, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I would happily have more of that, please. I mean, I in no way feel put out of the concept of them doing more of that. Whereas this, it's like, yeah, you've done such a good one and done. I'm not sure. Because there's no natural reason for him, and the sequels aren't about Charles Grodin's character. I don't think. I think it's doing I think it's literally called Another Midnight Run, like another 48 hours, or whatever.
You don't need that. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Is it's like, okay, as a backdrop, you can do more stuff, but you don't need it. Like, what are you adding to? Like, all right, it's just another bail bondsman story.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
like Jackie Brown was.
This is so about this flies so much on the chemistry of the leads, and just how they're written. It's just so beautifully written as a film. Again, so much of Charles Grodin's non-verbal stuff, because he's eyeballing him, and then he's not saying anything, but he's looking at him, they're looking at her, and he does, again, like you say, it's kind of from De Niro's perspective, but there's so much of him just looking at stuff, and he does act like a petulant child, and it's all part of his game. Like he's constantly playing mind games with him, and he's got this kind of petulant child thing. And the coffee shop thing, the worst bit about that is because he's just got like quite a simple dream, and he just shits all over it just to like as part of his fucking thing. It's really horrible.
Well, but then with the ultimate goal of that, he's testing him. So it's like if he does the right thing, he'll give him the money, and he can go to his coffee shop, right? Yeah. So he's not shitting on it because he thinks it's a shit idea. He's shitting on it.
He's trying
to get the best out of it. Yeah. It's and I mean this is the telling. Like, you got any money on you? It's like, no, I ain't got. It's like, you got any money? Turn around and start frisking him and stuff.
But then he's got he's got like a money belt, hasn't he? He's kind of like the money about himself.
Which begs the question, because then they end up in a river at one point, and they're like going down the river. But I guess it's all in bags.
Plastic bags.
Yeah, Ziploc.
Yeah, waterproof. I'd love to make something like this. I just can't, like, when I try to write something, I think I said this before, I sort of really wish I could write something about people and their intentions, but it's like, no, somebody's get blown up or
I think you do a good job of capturing, I mean, the thing is with your script is like there's bits in it where it's kind of like the human element works really well, and you don't have to I don't think you have to put that much work into that. That sort of stuff kind of comes in when you've got an overarching idea of what you want to do. I mean, all that sort of stuff is actor stuff as well. It's good writing, but it's also like actors kind of getting that and running with it. I forget what I was going to say. I was going to say I had some fucking.
We're both fucking shattered. I don't even have a baby. Doug has got a baby.
I have a baby. Someone asked me today. I had a client meeting, and they looked at what I do because it was for a big client of mine, and he brought someone in to do a top-down kind of audit. Anyway, it's boring. I won't bore you with it. But basically, she was like, "So you manage," and then listed all the things that I manage. She goes, "How do you sleep? How do you have any time to sleep?" And I went, "I don't know, but I have other clients. I'm producing a film. I'm getting ready to shoot a 5-week shoot and be in an episode of a horror thing for Amazon, and I have an 8-month-old, and I'm dying slowly from the inside.
I'm just hollow. I'm hollow."
I was like, I don't know. Somehow it works out. So there you
go. Dan Lyle says Lamb Plan should go into production ASAP. Yeah, we should make a film called Lamb Plan. I'd love to just go and make all the things that came up in the chats over the years.
I would love to. See, these kind of films, I love them to pieces, and I would love to make something with the energy of this. My only problem is that most people go, like, you couldn't make this nowadays because most people would be like, well, why doesn't he go on his phone?
Yeah, right.
A smartphone would ruin the whole thing. It's like they tracked him from satellite and found where he was. It's like great,
loads of films have that now. They have to have the scene where it's like, well, all of our phones melted, and it's like, okay, we were going paintballing and our phones melted, and it's like, well, you're all going to get fucking killed by Psycho then, aren't you? I suppose.
Yeah, it's kind of how you would make something like this nowadays, where it wasn't, where smartphones didn't just run. I suppose if it largely took place in the desert or so, but even then.
I'd have it take place inside a Faraday cage. That's what I'd do. The whole thing. They have to Lamb Plan. Faraday.
Starring 95-year-old George Clooney, Ben Affleck,
Casey Affleck, the cops of Yaphet Kotto.
Duncan Casey Affleck.
We've stitched them together like some kind of human centipede.
DCCA.
I start all the time so this has the chiaroscuro office blind lighting, which is just the most overused thing, which I've used before because it is great. It's a great shorthand, but it means detecting is happening.
But in a mocking way. I mean, I do think it's kind of like
it's knowing, isn't it?
Done deliberately, isn't it? It's done sort of stupidly, like overwrought, and I mean, for any of you who are listening now and haven't seen this film properly, I really urge you and encourage you to watch it. Just sit down. If it's in any way, if things like, I'm trying to think of an equivalent. I mean, I suppose people would point to things like Lethal Weapon is not this. I mean, it's not the same thing, no. But it's like a that kind of. I mean, again, because we talked about Get Shorty and being the kind of progenitor of being ahead of Guy Ritchie and being really the first step in that direction. It's like stuff like this predates that, and I think this has that energy too. It has that kind of Guy Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie watched this, and that's why Farina is in Snatch, right? Surely, and the stuff with planes.
You would think. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
I wonder about Guy Ritchie actually. Just to talk about Guy Ritchie, he's one of these people. I looked into the. I was quite interested to see what the influences were on Nick Love, the director of like Football Factory and all that, and that was quite interesting. Quite into Alan Parker and stuff. It's some quite worthy pool of references, despite what you may think of the man and his films. I can't recall ever hearing Guy Ritchie talk about who his influences were, because I know obviously him and Matthew Vaughn were a kind of team, weren't they? And then Vaughn's gone off done his own thing. I never really heard him talk about kind of what films he's into. In fact, I could be wrong here, but I remember I had like the DVD of Snatch before the extra, because it was the era of 2-disc DVDs, and he would mostly talk about like playing chess and stuff, and it was never about like, well, I watched this, I watched that, and I know 100% because, and it is weak. But people were just kind of like, oh, it's the British Tarantino. And it's like, why? Because there's crime in it. Like, and it's funny.
Because swearing and crime.
Tarantino's approach to narrative structure is completely different. The visual style is complete. Tarantino's stuff is really slow and considered in its visual style. Guy Ritchie's got that kind of zappy sort of fast cut thing, and loads of really out there stuff. Like, I know there's those bits in Lock, Stock that were shot on that high frame camera, which I think they said at the time they had to borrow from NASA or something. It's like 120 frames a second or some shit, and it's a speed ramp, which is done through a film strip process rather than digitally, I believe. I've never heard him talk. I mean, because he's don't get me wrong, he's made some fucking garbage. Like Revolver is trash. It's pretentious trash. Like, and I don't like hate him. I'm not gonna go and trash his latest stuff, whatever. You know, Sherlock Holmes is completely inoffensive. Wasn't mad about it, but yeah. But yeah, he's one of these people. It's like clearly you've watched a lot of films, and clearly on some level but I've never heard him talk about in interviews and stuff. He never seems to be talking about what influenced him that I could see. I'm probably wrong.
Yeah,
I bored him so much. He's just like
bored me so much.
No,
I know he did
fucking Christ.
When King Arthur came out, he did Joe Rogan, and he did a few rounds on that, and he spoke about more like his philosophy than his kind of influences, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who he's necessarily influenced by. I think he stumbled upon an aesthetic and a look, because I mean, because the story of Lock, Stock kind of getting where it got to was because of Trudy Styles produced it, Sting's wife, who Sting is in it, isn't he? He's the bar owner. And she got a screening in LA, in Hollywood, and got Tom Cruise to go to it. And just because Tom Cruise went to it, it got loads of press coverage, and because it got lots of press coverage, it got distribution and blah, 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 blah. So that was the story of that film kind of going somewhere. Right. And it had like, I think they had a table read 2 years before the film was made, and it was a long process getting that film.
It's based on a short called The Hard Case. So there's a kind of prototype Lock, Stock that was made first, as is quite often the style. It was the style at the time.
So it's, it was I mean, it wasn't just a wholly original thing, but it yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what his cinematic influence was, but I think he definitely had the style. He borrowed a lot from the likes of this and everything, and certainly Snatch more so. Snatch has a real kind of underground. Like Lock, Stock is more about geezers. It's like there's a crime element, but it's more about geezers done stuff. Yeah. Whereas like Snatch is that, but it's also crime mobs and
it goes a bit more global, doesn't it? Because it's straight away throws in a bunch of Hollywood, in smaller, but Benicio del Toro as well, and obviously Ness Farina and Frank Butcher. I do find I have quite look, man's got limited range, but I've quite enjoyed Vinnie Jones in movies. I think he's got a lot of presence and stuff, and I think he does what he does well. Like, he's not an actor really, but he's done some, and he's made some interesting choices. I mean, it hasn't always gone his way in that regard.
I don't mind him. I think I mean, look, when he's cast well, he's good.
He's limited. I'm not pretending. He's limited.
He's a tool in a box, right? And then I mean that in the best sense. Yeah. I think he's a sort of really great tool for. I think they've overplayed their hand with him sometimes, but whatever. I mean, that's fine. It's not a zero-sum game. Like Vinnie Jones isn't taking roles away from me or most other people. So
I think it's like, so for example, got the remake of Gone in 60 Seconds where he's mute. Like, that's good use. That's not a way to criticize him as an actor. I'm just saying that's good use of him. He's very present. He's a big dude. He was in the Midnight Meat Train as well, which was kind of Ryuhei, I can never say his name, Kitamura, who directed Versus. Versus is amazing, and I'll fight you if you say otherwise. Really interesting movie. Like, and it's like Japanese genre director doing a movie with Vinnie Jones. Like, it's come on, it's interesting. And then I think that beyond that is kind of like, yeah, well, here's a straight to video film with Stone Cold Steve Austin or whatever, and it's like, okay, fine. But then, hey, look, Guy Ritchie as well. I do think he's quite limited in what he can do. He's good at what he does, but it's kind of like geezer blokes, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, the most recent thing of his I saw was The Gentleman, and I just found that to be, teeing up a thing that the payoff of which is just like, really, that's what means. That's what makes it pretentious for me. It's just like, you went all this time, and the whole thing was like a fucking and it all boils down to this: is Hugh Grant doing a silly kind of cockney voice with his all up and down like this, sort of somewhat Jewish and weird and strange, and hello and blah, 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 darling and all this sort of shit, and it's like, and then the end of it is like, Oh, he was playing him against him or whatever. Goodbye.
Can't believe a Guy
And it's
Ritchie
like,
film would have a posh guy pretending to be a Cockney in it. Can't see where he'd have got that idea
yeah,
from
I
at all.
know. I mean, well, that's the thing. It's just sort of like, and that, it would be one thing if that sort of um, felt in keeping with what was going on, but it was so incongruous. It was like, it was just, oh right, okay, Hugh Grant's doing a silly voice, but it didn't add. I mean, it was fine in and of himself. It's fine. I mean, it's all fine, but it wasn't like. It was just a bit. It was. You looked at it, and you kind of went, "You all should know better than this, really." I mean, I don't like trashing other people because I don't think it's right for someone who works in that industry to really talk about people in that regard. But I found it as an experience unsatisfying. And that's not to say I haven't made films that were imminently more unsatisfying than that. I just mean that,
Yeah,
that's
fair enough. It's a yeah. Don't want to go down the cul-de-sac of just cussing people and stuff.
no, God no. And look, the world is better generally for Guy Ritchie films being in it. So please don't take what I say as a sort of indictment of anyone. Like, I think anyone who picks up a camera and makes a film, you have my undying admiration. Really, it's not. I know some people do it for the wrong reasons, but they still do it. And you still have to make the film. It's not easy. Like, no, when people see a final product and go, a shit, and it's like that. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that they spent 10 months wanking. Like, it's still hard to make a fucking movie,
except for possibly Suicide Squad. But...
well, no, I mean, you look at that film. It's like that probably was hard to make. It's just that they butchered it in the edit.
Difficult. A bunch of people put in a load of fucking time and money, like loads of people doing fucking 12, 14-hour days on fucking makeup and even the fucking food, and then some fucker butchered it,
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
No, totally. I mean, so even that whenever we criticize a film, I think it's more about saying. The final product, it's difficult because I think people often then go, well, you're morally castigating the people who made it, and I wouldn't make that connection. I don't think it's that. It's just that the final product misses a mark, maybe, but it's not. It doesn't mean that the people who made it are morally suspect. It's just,
Hey, look, I used to engage in that when I was younger. It was kind of like, the people who made Mortal Kombat Annihilation should be put on the sex offenders register, or But I kind of doing it for kind of outrage for internet funnies is one thing. But I used to do it privately as well. And now it's kind of like at this age, approaching 40, it's kind of like, just chill out, mate. Don't worry about it. You see people youngers on the internet talking like that, and it's like, life's far too short for that shit, brother. You just want to chill out.
Again, fucking... Yeah, it's not a zero-sum game, is it? We don't lose out just because they make a shit film. Doesn't mean there's one less film Bitcoin that we can have. It's like we can make films forever. Soda drinking corridor janitor drops a car thing in the chat that you're not going to understand. But he says, "Can you imagine Vinnie Jones in a BMW E39 waving at Richard? He'd just hear tyre noise." Oh, I see. Very good. Because an E39 Richard is a 5 Series BMW, but it is the fourth generation 5 Series. Fourth generation. That'd be the fourth generation because I had an E60 BMW 5 Series. That was the following car. Richard's on the shit.
I was trying to be on brand. I got a book out that I didn't mean to. I got a book out that matches my T-shirt.
It's true though. I think Richard would just generally see. I think he just sees people
floating
along,
just like that, when they just stood on that empty driveway. What was going on? Yeah. Oh shit! I do need to. I need to get a car and whatnot. It's just COVID ruined my business for a year. Though I've had a very good month, which is fantastic. Things are starting to look back up again, but just as things were picking up, COVID come and fucked it. But that's not my story; it's everybody's story.
I was gonna sell you my car, wasn't I, at one point for a cut price?
Yeah.
But too late, motherfucker. Someone bought it. I literally left that thing on Facebook marketplace and forgot about it. Like last year, I was like, if it sells, it sells. I don't really care. But it was costing me a fortune in tax because it was really, that was the only thing. It was like 30 quid a month in tax. But then I just suddenly someone was like, "Can I buy a car?"
So
I was like,
talk about my car blindness. That notionally to me doesn't seem that bad for tax. I just assumed it was loads more.
No, God, no. I mean, the car I've got now is like a tenner a month.
It is. Oh,
It's
taxes.
a much bigger car, and you know.
I just thought it was yet another one of these expensive things that's expensive.
No, I mean, if you buy it, I mean, if you want to be fart huffing and pretentious, you could buy like a Prius or something, and that'll cost you £0 in tax or 30 quid a year. I think my wife's car is 30 quid a year, which is outrageous given it's older than my car.
Don't women pay less generally? That's a thing, isn't it?
Not in tax, in insurance.
Oh, insurance. So.
It used to be. No, it used to be a thing. It's technically not anymore, but yeah. I mean, I'm at an age and stage now where it doesn't really matter. My occupation plays a much worse thing.
Right.
For some reason, they think actors just explode when they get in a car.
Because do you know why? It used to be really cheap, like actor car insurance used to be really cheap, and then the Fast and the Furious came out, and they were like, "Oh no!" I mean, because it was really, really cheap, and the Blues Brothers come out, then it was okay for a while, and then the Fast and Furious came out, and they just went, "Oh, look at all these!" Vin Diesel keeps blowing up cars, and every time an actor joins the Fast and Furious franchise, car insurance goes up for actors.
That's true.
It's just a fact.
Captain Meets Adventures asks which 5 series was the best, Duncan. So get back.
I'm just going to read this.
That is a great shot. That's a great shot of like
pamphlet.
basically a completely empty highway with them at night. That's impressive. The best 5 series. Well, I've only experienced what have I? I've driven an E39, E60. I owned for a bunch of years. I've driven an F10. And the F, I've driven the current one as well. Of all of them, I don't know. I would have to say my E60 drove of all of them. I think the E60 drove the nicest because it had the Richard's so not into this. It had the aluminium front end, like everything from the A pillar forward was bonded aluminium, which they did.
What's an A pillar from the A pillar forward?
Oh, grow up! You don't know what an A pillar.
I don't know what an A pillar is.
The A pillars, right? Obviously, what go from like what hold the roof up.
Right.
Yeah. So A is the front one. B is the next one where the doors are. C
Why
is
do you
the
need
rear.
to know that?
Because in the E60, it's very.
That's the worst way to respond. All right, fine. Well, go on.
From the A pillar forward, i.e., all the body panels, the shaft, everything was made of aluminium. But the rest of it was steel, which was to create a proper weight distribution. If you don't understand why that's important, you might as well. Good luck getting a lift somewhere.
Can I have a lift, please? Describe the A pillar. The what? No, you can't get in my car.
Fuck off. You can't tell me where the B pillar is. You can kick me out.
Get out! I kind of feel like, because you do drive me around places, and next time you're just going to be like, fuck you, mate, on that stream. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
ever since you told me, because you said to me,
"Can I check your?" There was something you thought was in my car or whatever. Because I picked you up and took you around. He goes, "Can I get in your? Can I have the keys to your car?" So I go, "No, I go to hand you this like plastic fob," and you're like, "What do I do with that?" I'm like, "Well, if you want the boot open, unlock it, then hold down the boot thing, and the boot will open automatically."
I know how to unlock a car.
No, but you didn't know how the boot worked. I was like, "I'll just do it."
Well, not on your car. I know how to unlock a boot on a car. You press the button that says boot on it, but sometimes you do it and it doesn't work, and you're too embarrassed to tell the person who owns the car, so you just match all the buttons till something goes click, and you go in that way.
The thing with Audis is they have this stupid thing where it's like you have to press. If you press unlock once, it just unlocks the driver's door. So you have to press like a double click thing, and then it unlocks all of them. It's
different strokes, different folks, isn't it? I know how to work. So I was freelancing with Scott, my buddy Scott, for Sartain from Two Flicks this week. That's who I was working for this week. And he has a big like high car. It's like a 4x4. It's big and it has like a tailgate on it, but you know it's also because so he can put his family in it, and we put all our stuff in that. And I can't remember what make it is. It's black though, and I know how to open that.
Range Rover.
No, because I worked in the dealership, so I feel like I'd know that.
Is it Is it a BMW?
Yesterday,
This is what I'm talking about, everyone. This is what I'm talking. How can any one man not know what any of this means?
let's talk about football next. I know how to work his car because I go and put the gear in when he's talking to the client at the end of a job because I just want to.
I'll show you how mine works, and then then you'll know.
I want an old-fashioned car where the key actually works. And then
I know, but that's the dark thing. Like, I don't think I know my last car was an older A4, and that thing was so bare bones. The same as one Simon's got, just a different colour. You don't know, do you?
I tell you what I do know. It's like when Duncan's daughter was born,
yes.
I was in London and he sent me a picture of his wife and his daughter, and it's like, oh, it's amazing. And I was just embarking upon a job. I was off doing some filming for a building company. And I think I was like, oh, I'm in London. I think for some reason I took a selfie of me in the car.
It was the other way around. You went, I'm driving a car, and you just sent me a picture of you sat in the car.
That's because I had to sit there in case a traffic warden came.
I was like, that's an Audi A4 B7.
Exactly.
SE,
and
whatever. I was like,
as you just did, you casually brought up that Simon had the same car.
And also, here's my daughter.
Here's my long-awaited progeny. But first, let's talk about the walnut interior and the A pillar of the fucking.
Yeah.
Shitting hell! There you go. Top banter. Yeah, no. People are saying. Someone said that I own a Flintstones car. Colin McLean, imagine Ritchie trying to describe a car to the police. Red cars are fast. Yes. If it has speed holes.
I've always been a car guy, though. That's the thing. I mean, I think, you're talking about two people who could not be further apart on, like, vehicles.
Well, I think we meet in the middle of football.
Yeah, that we both hate.
That's the football blindness, I think. It's like, we both have that for football. So it's like... Yeah. Jose Mourinho is a name I've heard said out loud in the past.
Roberto Baggio. No, what's the Sven-Goran Eriksson?
There was a pop song that went Sven, 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 you're an Eriksson. I know that.
Was that? More than I know.
It was a World Cup song because I think he was England manager or something.
I know 3 lions on the shirt. That's because that just will not go away. No, but it's the yeah, like it's the arrogance of people. There are people in this country, and I'm assuming it's unique to Britain. When you walk into a place, this fucking country, you walk into a pub or whatever, and they'll be like, "You see the game last night?" And you're like,
"No."
Game of what? And the Game of Thrones?
The chess.
Okay, I didn't see the game. It's like. What game? What are you fucking doing? The Michael Douglas film?
Mate, it's the question, who do you support?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Who do I support?
Who do you support? I don't know, child refugees?
I don't know. Poor the downtrodden. I mean, what do you...
Poor the downtrodden. I'm going to say, I've got to say, actually, it's been a very long time. So I think society's just given up on asking me. It's been a very long time since I got the classic, who do you support? Because it's the assumption.
That was more, I think, when we were kids, I think.
But I remember getting that from adults,
England,
though.
Which is now, I realise, the equivalent of the best of the bees.
Where are you from, Earth?
I'd have to say the best of the bees.
The best of the football. Someone just referenced the Michelin... Yeah, Wing Chun Exchange, the Michelin Web football sketch. There are 2 distinct football sketches, and they're some of the most beautiful things ever written by people who don't watch football that I've ever seen in my life.
I don't get it. I never have. The culture around it shrivels me testes, frankly. I've just no interest in it whatsoever. I think as a kid as well, when I saw, you would see just turned over bars in Barcelona or wherever, and it'd be like, football hooligans done this, and it was just like, right, well, I don't really see... the tribal aspect of it always used to piss me off. There's tribal aspects in everything, so I don't think it's unique to football necessarily, but there did seem to be... There was a thing recently, that big Euro... I don't know if you saw any of that...
The Super League. I had Simon explain it to me. I was like, well, right. This is on the news. I should probably know
Was it like the montage of The Simpsons where Bart's drawing diagrams and trying to like frantically explain to Homer why it's really important? Because that's how it would have been with me. I'm just like, I didn't really get it, but all I saw on the news was like people going, "We got it back. We got our football back." They always have chants that are prepared
for everything,
like,
for all things.
Someone ahead of time at the football. Like I assume it to be like the Legion of Doom.
Yeah,
there's a sort of, but it's a football that comes out of the.
Yeah, whatever. But it's your classic Beano black and white octagon.
Yeah, and they all sit around and go, "We must make a chant."
Well, did you? The one thing I found out was about Sepp Blatter, who was the guy who was the head of UEFA or whatever. I can't remember. Who was massively corrupt, and he had like a supervillain headquarters to be the boss of football.
Of course.
And it really was like the war room from Doctor Strangelove. It's hilarious.
I love this stuff here. This is where
let's talk about the film. We really should talk about the film.
Your helicopter chase and stuff, because again, this section of the film, they're all three of them are on the lam. And they're all being chased by the mob and they're being shot at and stuff like that.
It's so bananas as well, because it's shot on film. It's a real helicopter. He's ripping at them with a machine gun. Like it's fucking amazing.
And they're all just yelling at each other, and it's just like chaos.
Good yelling is good, like, because people yelling in a movie can be really irritating, but when you have spent enough time with the characters, when you're in tune to them, you understand their kind of fears and desires, you can have a group of people shout at each other as long as they give performance. Because Charles Grodin's thing was kind of he used to do COD, kind of dialed up anger on chat shows and stuff. That was his whole kind of vibe. Which used to be my thing on YouTube, is just to be like angry all the time.
Comedy car crashes are. I mean, having been the survivor,
Lebowski was
that was. But it's like it's the thing like when the helicopter comes up and shoots at them, and the bonnet goes like off the car. It's so good, man. It's just like I mean, they strike the balance really well, because it's kind of like, obviously you fear for their they're being shot at, and there's some real world consequences, but at the same time it still keeps that comedy element. It's not a bloody film particularly, the gun fights in it are still they're on the right side of the comedy, whereas but they're still realistic enough to be kind of grit. There's
a sense of threat and menace to it, I think.
It's so well judged, I think, as a film.
Because it doesn't need to be. You could make this and have it be really nasty, and there wouldn't like blood and they wouldn't really be, because I'm not sure like who dies in this. Does anybody die in it? Like, I'm trying to think.
No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone actually. Oh well, earlier on when there was a shootout between the FBI, the mob. And
of course, yeah. And what happens? Doesn't the helicopter go down, or am I?
Yeah, probably. Yes, yeah. Like De Niro shoots it down.
Yeah. So it's not like, and it doesn't link. I think that's the thing. It's whether or not you linger on it. It's stuff like that. It's the competence of Jack as well. Because he was clearly, everything that happened to him was unjust. He was clearly very good at what he did, but he was kind of screwed out of it. So
he looks cool there as well. He gets a moment of cool, like where he's like, how about me?
He got one eye with the gun.
Yeah, and then it cuts to him there, and he's just like, he turns around and he ruins it for himself.
I love it. He
just socks him in, just sucker punches him all the time. It's like, I love all that stuff.
He leaves him cuffed to the car, right? He
cuffs him to the leaf spring suspension of the car.
Fucking hell.
Why don't you
I'm gonna kill someone straight away as soon as I get behind the wheel of a car.
Well, I hope not.
Because I didn't know what the A pillar was. Where's my?
Once he passed the A pillar, I'm so I got into nothing because I'm carbon.
I got into nothing. I just stepped into this void which somehow has weight and form.
Yeah,
it's harder for me to learn to drive because I can't perceive shape, colours inside a car. They're just transparent to me.
Oh god, I wish I was like you though, because I would I could
be killed in traffic immediately.
Well, but also, I just I wouldn't give a shit. Like, I'm far too much of a car snob now. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to.
Man, this is because I do genuinely like, and I know that obviously Ellie and Omar are big F1 fans, so I mean no disrespect, but I've just never got it. I can't get excited by it, and I guess I suppose it's because I'm observing an empty track.
With lots of noise.
I can't see micro machines. I can't see Lego cars. I can't see
Yeah.
drawings. I don't even know. I know it's basically a box because I've sat in one. And
As I understand it, horses simply walk down the road with reins on them,
yeah,
attached to
that's
nothing.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Anything with four wheels just disappears.
If you put 4 wheels in a box, I can't see the box.
Aeroplanes just sort of hover over the ground when they come into land.
I had an ex-girlfriend who, when she didn't want to speak to me, she would take 4 wheels from a Lego car and put them in her pocket, and I wouldn't be able to see her. And she would.
What do hovercraft look like? Do they just look like they've got
Oh, I can see
wheels?
those. I only see hovercraft. I see hovercraft every time I close my eyes. It's haunted in front of them.
Yeah, Formula One. My dad loves Formula One, and I've loved watching Formula One with him. I don't really watch it of my own volition, but I do enjoy watching it with my dad. For me, it's Formula One is sort of collectively fun thing to watch, but I don't. I just sort of not bother. I wouldn't sit down on my own of a Sunday and watch it, but
I can't. I can't
enjoy
process
it.
most televised sport. My brain refuses
I
to
get why,
accept it.
but unlike sort of football wankers, I'm not like going, "Why don't you like the thing I like?" It's like, no, I get why you wouldn't like it. I mean, I totally understand. I can appreciate it. I kind of enjoy it, but
as Stuart Lee put it, the brilliant football that everybody must like.
yes.
You know.
The thing with Formula One though is it's like it becomes processional. Like it goes in sort of waves. It's kind of like every now and again something comes in and upsets it and makes it interesting again. But most of the time it's like, oh, Hamilton won again, did he? Or like Schumacher won again, did he? It's like it's right. It gets a bit tedious.
Right.
But something comes in and shakes it up.
I think I've learned a lot about. I've probably learned the most of my life about Formula One by being friends with Ellie and Omar on Facebook, because they both talk about it, and it's like, I'm learning things more than I ever have before about this. Pit stop, fastness. I can't even jokingly talk about it. I don't know.
Right, DRS. Do you know what that means?
No. Duncan really sings, which is true. It's fact.
I do, but no. Drag reduction system.
Why? Well, you knew I wasn't going to know that, didn't you? Like there was that was the most rhetorical of rhetorical questions. Like, no, of course I don't. Well, it'd be really weird if I did. That's the one. Oh yeah, I know drag reduction for drag reduction. ABS braking stands for.
Yeah, but they don't. I don't think they are. Do they have that on the new cars? I don't think. I have it on my car. But road cars have
I thought I had one. I don't.
Automated brake. Automated braking. It's basically where it applies feathered braking to avoid lockup. In a poor traction situation.
Oh shit!
See, I told you there's nothing you can say about cars.
No, well, that's what cracks me up. That's what I kept bursting out into laughter earlier, because you kept doing it, and it just sounds so partridgey. It's unreal.
It does, yeah. You can't, yeah, especially when you describe, because Alan Partridge is built on that social climber thing. Because so much about cars is, like especially sort of German car, where it's like everything is an options list or a package. And it's all about sort of social one-upmanship, basically. Like that's what it's. Mine's the S line.
The optional extras.
It's like the top of the range. Whatever. It's kind of they're designed that way. I mean, you can spend a fortune on.
I did a considerable amount of temping in car dealerships when I was, over my freelance career. Which was really what was really funny is because I worked with, particularly when I worked up at the Land Rover, I worked with 3 girls called. Molly, Maddie and Megan, the M team, very easy to remember their names. They were fucking awesome, really funny people. They knew fucking loads about cars and I knew nothing. And so I was like at the time a 35-year-old man, and I sat next to like a 23-year-old girl, like for the shift. And people would walk in and go, yeah, excuse me, mate, you got to... And I'd just be like... direct them to...
That's right.
They fucking ignore the young woman who knew all about cars and come to me, so they just thought the bloke knew. If just like to be fair, mate, probably of all the car dealerships in the country, this was rock bottom luck. Like getting me was highly unlikely, but you did, and actually you need to speak to her because these girls know all about it, and I don't. They just pay me to sit here like a fucking meat sack because I can operate a telephone.
Yeah. I mean, put it this way. I think one day. Do you know what a Porsche 911 is?
Yeah, of
Do you know?
course. Well,
Oh, you do?
I know it exists, and it's a fast car. It's like a
Right.
sports
Yeah.
car. It's like a little
It's a
sports
sports.
car that looks like a kind of like lady's shoe.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it looked. It was the very. It comes from basically the VW Beetle, Hitler's preferred um, Volkswagen. But it's unique because the engine is in the back, and it's really the only truly rear-engined car. But it's
Right.
that's something I would
Right.
like. I would like. I am aiming to have a 911 one day, and then also a Aston Martin Vantage. Do you know what that is?
I know what Aston Martin is.
Right. Okay. Well, very good. There you go. I would like one of those.
I
That would
wanted to.
that.
I always wanted. I tell you what. When I was growing up, I wanted because they were still on the market when I was a kid. I always wanted a Mini Cooper. I just thought they were cool as shit. Like, they're really cool. Classic Mini when they were still. Because I think even up to when I was in college, they were still a going concern. The classic Mini.
Yeah.
And now it's a classic car and a ball ache to maintain and expensive. And,
I've said this to you, and we will get off this chat because we're obviously not talking about it at all. And I love this stuff. I've always wondered how they filmed that because it's pretty impressive that
pretty
they've got
wild, yeah. Let's see.
Niro hanging on. But I think you should get get a Mondeo estate, mate. Get a Mondi estate. That'd be perfect.
Something chuckle my gear in the back.
For all my snobbery, there is nothing wrong with a Ford Mondeo. Absolutely nothing.
Mate, if it goes and I can get all my camera gear in it, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not precious.
It is a lovely car. No, there is nothing. Or a VW Passat or any of those things. I would say get yourself one of them. They're big too. Like get yourself one of those sort of estates. You'll have all the space you need in there. You can chuck whatever gear in it you need. You're not going to be worried about anything. It's not going to have high, lovely leather in it and shit that you'd be worried about anything. Get yourself a 10-year-old Mondi. Chuck everything you want in it, and it will go on for days. And when it goes wrong, it'll be cheap as shit to repair. Honestly,
done.
Mondeo,
I'm not precious about cars at all. If it fucking
and they're
goes,
lovely to drive. They're really lovely to drive. Like tight as a drum, really nice to drive. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with them at all. Nothing wrong with them at all. He said, "Car dealership, welcome to Casey's Cars."
Casey's Cars, yeah. Shit, this has gone well into cars.
Anyway, sorry.
We're tired. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. I've barely touched my whiskey. What I did tonight, because I've got things to do next, is I went without ice because I knew it would make me go a bit slower on the old grog. So I just wanted a nice drink.
Doesn't make me slow, which is bad.
With bourbon, it does for me. I like it neat, but like with bourbon, I like a bit of ice.
Yeah.
So I'll go a bit quicker.
Anyway, wrap up the Niro, the bed. I love. See, again, this is the sort of planes, trains, and automobiles thing of like they literally go through every single.
Every kind of conveyance.
Yeah. And very much a sort of American thing because eventually they end up like hopping the rails, don't they? They try and jump the. Well, they do. They jump a train. I love because that bit's so great as well because it's kind of he does that whole thing about counterfeit notes because that's another thing like the Duke, Grodin's character, he has that thing about like he finally has to be resourceful in the moment because he realizes that Jack has exhausted everything and they need to eat. So he's like, so they're going to that bar and he's like, he poses as the FBI agent and he's like, oh yeah, we've had some counterfeit bills. We think there's been some counterfeit bills in the area, and he what does he call it? There's a test. He calls it the something test.
Yeah. It's a really good bit of stuff, isn't it? It's a really great ruse. I can't remember what he calls it though.
Is it here? I think it's here, but and he goes, it's the Hoffenheimer test. Whenever he goes, he's like, just rubs his finger and this one's counterfeit, this one's counterfeit, this one's counterfeit. Just takes a bunch of 20s off him. Yeah. Oh mate, it's just so good. This film honestly is like I know we've just talked a load of shit over it, but it's so good, man. It's so much fun.
We'll be back soon. On
Litmus
form.
configuration. Thank you, Mark Geislide. The litmus configuration, which is such a sort of litmus test. Obviously, is a pH thing, but I love that the litmus configuration, and these hillbillies are like, oh,
excellent, baffling. Oh, hold on. Oh no, yeah. Sorry, someone said the stream had gone, so I just had to go to YouTube to check that it hadn't. And it hasn't. It's still there. So,
the litmus configuration. I love it.
I did just realise that the wide-angle lens on on my laptop allows me to do a big kind of crazy finger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, it's just so. Is Richard okay? Oh, yes, yours too. I've never occurred to. My camera's normally a fucking meter over there because I use a fancy one.
Yeah.
It's just This is the night Val Verde lost their minds.
Guys, it's been a long week.
Couple of weeks, really. Yeah.
Yeah,
Speaking of which,
it's nearly been 2 weeks since.
we need to do Patreon stuff, so there will be a private watch party, I guess, next weekend. So I'm going to put that in my diary now, guys, and I'll announce that soon. I did do a special. So you want to be a filmmaker? Touch Your Bleed episode where I probably seemed quite haunted. So yeah, there's that. Oh god, this is the last.
He just runs his rubber across the fucking nose. The litmus configuration. This one's fake. This one's fake. And they look like shit as well. They're unshaven. Like they just look like crap. And yet these people buy. But yeah, no. I can't believe as of Monday it's 2 weeks since we shot the film. That's nuts.
Yeah, well,
this week has gone so fast.
I know. I think I had 2 long days. 2 very long days just this week as well. So like, I think the last 2 weeks I've been shooting something, including tomorrow as well. Fuck, I've been shooting something for about 50 hours. Or 60 hours across the
It's weird how I don't know if it's a product of lockdown kind of focusing people on various things, but it's like I've had so many inquiries, whether it's for acting or for voiceover or for video production and stuff recently. People just really need media in one form or another. So it's like, it's great. I mean, it's wonderful. You know, we're very, again, like I say, we're very fortunate, but it's like, it's you know, I think when you hit your stride, I think this is probably true. Like for most people, you know, when you hit your stride in whatever age, I guess it's typically in your 30s, it's kind of like, wow, you know, suddenly everyone needs you, and or you know, suddenly you have all the skills. It's a weird thing to sort of, and that's where imposter syndrome comes from. It's that kind of like suddenly realizing, no, you are skilled enough and you do have the experience, you know, because for so long when you're younger you kind of defer to people. I love that shit. The guy's looking at the bar and he sees them running after the train.
The bag of groceries.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, you know, and it's like you realise that actually, no, you can't just sort of
he
say,
spills. I hate it. Really bothers me that he loses the groceries.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, but it's you know, you sort of realise that actually your competence, at some point you have to hand off to your own competency and accept that, you know, maybe you do know enough. And that's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool thing. Yeah.
MJ1 Media gives $2. He says, "Good call, guys. Midnight Run is my stepdad's fave. Please apologise to your stepdad."
It's one of my It's one of my faves too. Like,
I love it.
This shit we are just in love with this film, I think.
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah. I sort of need to give it another clean watch. I think quite nice. Now I've rented it. Maybe I'll watch it tomorrow night or something.
I've bought it now, so I'm definitely going to watch it again soon, along with Body Snatchers and stuff. There's so much of these things I need to go back and revisit, which I'm definitely.
Yeah,
I'd
like to speak to you after you had a clean watch of Body Snatchers. That'd be good.
We should do it. Yeah, we'll come back with a proper episode of that, I think.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to do that. Love to.
Yeah, definitely. Well, but again, like all these things, like all these ones, I sort of, rather apart from Tango and Cash, I've bought all of them, so I've kind of got them now. Because I really feel like I would like to go back and rewatch them and do some proper on camera analysis of the ones that we haven't done.
Fuck yeah. James Atkinson asked Switch Body Snatchers. Body Snatchers 78, James. We did a watch party a while ago. And yes, Duncan needs a clean watch. It is fantastic.
I mean, I have a clean watch. Just
no, so do I. It's not clean. It's sweaty because I was running earlier. That's probably why I'm tired as well, because I ran 5k before the stream.
Nice.
Because I've done the exercise. This film fucked all of my fucking weight training and running, and it's just like, I need to get back on that. So I'm back on that. I had a shower before the stream as well. I had a very tight schedule before this. Anyway, I had a butterfly chicken breast with some steamed vegetables.
Well done. Very good. Very good.
This week, though, on my tough long days, I was filming, like, it's a company that makes like flat packed terrariums and stuff like that. So, and the thing is, it's footage for somebody else, so I don't have it handy. But I was using like a L series lens, so like a 200mm lens on a Canon C300 to film tarantulas, geckos, tortoises, ecotrots, what you call them, praying mantis, bearded dragon. It was cool. Like the job was a pain in the arse, but at the end of every, because we had to film people assembling flat pack terrariums and stuff, and then at the end they would put the beastie in question in. Oh, snakes as well, a couple of snakes. Put the beastie in question in, then I had to sit and wait for them to come and sit in a pose so I could get some footage. I got some really nice stuff for Scott, which it's not mine, so I can't show it or anything. But I was really happy with what I got. That's the thing with freelancers. Sometimes you get some really, really nice stuff, and it's like, well, I'll never see that again. The last time I did that was with cows, which is way less interesting.
Stephen Allen asked Duncan if Richard was a kind of car. What kind of car would he be? I think, knowing Richard the way I do, he would probably be a larder.
Oh, yes, I would. I know what that is, and I agree.
Oh, right. Okay.
I do agree, because there used to be jokes about them back in the day. I would be a larder, absolutely.
A wonky old Soviet
car, yeah. Put it into H.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. When he goes like, who made this car? It's like, oh no, what country does this car come from? It's like, it no longer exists. But trust me, when you drive it, you will agree. Zagreb's Katoy, baby. And she's like, what? And he goes, put it in H. It's got like a B symbol on it. It's so good. It's so good.
Oh, fucking
Simpsons references. But that is one of the best things in the world. That and the car dealer's all dodgy and he's got like a weird quiff and shit.
Yeah. Because he's had to go out to a dealership in the middle of nowhere, isn't he? To like
put it in H. This guy. Put it in H. What does that mean?
That's so good. Also, on a similar note, this is the largest automobile in my price range. Did you find that funny, little boy?
Is there something amusing about the way I look when I'm driving my automobile?
Look, everybody!
It's
the little boy.
He just like pulls his pants down.
It's the way
march.
He goes after him like it's that little boy that laughs at everybody. Why don't we all laugh at him? Wave to the people. Blow them kisses.
Yes. So good.
Oh fuck! I feel like this is what it's going to be like. It's like an old people's home. It's just too old. It's just like fucking remembering things.
Can your grandpappy do this? Yeah.
Oh, grandma, she ain't what she used to be.
Yeah. I love this stuff with the countryside just passing by in the background. It looks really nice.
This is the staple of American kind of Lamplan films. Is escaping on a train. That's so strange because you don't really
riding the rails or
it's not a thing you can do in Britain. Like it's not like trains have very short stops and it's a more compact country and it's kind of,
you couldn't jump on a freight train. Like you wouldn't have like an empty carriage that you could just jump on. Really.
Someone in the chat would know this. Something my friend Simon told me. There's a photographer, a famous photographer that he knows about because he is a photographer, and he's got an entire book about people, I think in the 90s, who used to ride on trains like this. And there's this whole culture of people in whole parts of America, and he just went on these trains and photographed them and documented their lives and their existences, kind of travelling around on trains illegally on freight trains.
Cool, that was pretty interesting.
Really interesting topic, really interesting photographs. I feel like somebody will know. But it ain't
that
me.
Sort of stuff is always fascinating, I think, because of the kind of, obviously, the inherent freedom. I think anything where you can explore people throwing off societal structure and kind of doing their own thing is always fascinating, right? Like that's always
kind of the off the grid life, whatever form that takes.
Appealing, because I suppose because in theory it speaks to a kind of authenticity, and authenticity is always attractive to people. I think if you're living from a space of real authenticity, it's and because that's what acting is. But that's, I mean, not wishing to get too deep and woo woo about it. I mean, that's what acting is about: authenticity at its core. It's the truth in any given situation, even if it's their falsified situation. It's living truthfully in imagined circumstances. It's that sort of, if you're just authentic, that's what's interesting to people, I think, if you're really speaking from a human place. That kind of stuff, and it's true of documentaries as well. Anything that's kind of exploring that kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of stuff within that. I mean, I find documentary very, very interesting. It's one of the things I electively studied at uni. I've made little documentaries for myself, really. I did some ones about COVID that were on my personal YouTube channel, and I made like a little one about my dad recently and stuff. It's not really for anyone other than me and my family. But
nice.
Creating kind of narrative from footage you've accumulated without any kind of plan is I think forming things in that way is a really interesting way to work.
Yeah, man.
Oh, totally. Fuck, at that time I directed a documentary last year, the little 10-minute one that I did with Toby, and I directed a documentary last year about video game music, which is on the... And
also Icon, lest we forget.
Yeah, that's a bit more... Yeah, that's... Yes, but I'm not involved in the process of forming that film. I'm responsible for its look in terms of the camera stuff, but yes, very much. It's very exciting to work on. I think I think for find documentary to be a very exciting process. It's something I like to make. But
Colin McLean says at Duncan Casey, I'm currently looking into buying an original Seiko H55-8 Arnie, which is the one from Predator and Raw Deal, I think. His watch, sorry. Which is cool. Right on.
Right on. Yeah, neat.
Well, all right. Yeah, do it. I mean, cool, man. I think that they're quite... So I think that's the one they reissued and stuff, but an original one is now getting fairly valuable.
Because that shot looks so deeply expensive.
Yes,
there's because there are bits in the kind of supermarket-y food court thing with Joe Pants that's like, well, that could just be members of the public all the way back, but this is like, that's all police cars. You've got Yaphet Kotto, you've got an actor, you've got about 4 extras in the immediate foreground, you've got about 20 extras in the background, and probably about 20 police cars and a helicopter which blades are rotating. So it looks like a horrendously expensive... This whole sequence, actually, the chase with the 2 cop cars as well. Because that highway, and I'm not even going to count those.
Just infinite cars.
Like a snake of cars.
Well, this was a Blues Brothers thing as well, wasn't it? It was just like this impossible amount of police chasing you. Because it might as well be. I think it's the point. It's like when you've got the might of, state troopers or whatever chasing you, it's like, well, again, it's the lamb being on the lamb. It's like you're not just being chased by a person. You're being chased by the state. Which means that, you might as well just have the whole highway full of cop cars, because it's literally society is chasing you, and it's kind of, and that's the thing they're up against. But it's like, but the difference with stuff like this is it's kind of, well, the righteousness aspect of your protagonist, and the score. We haven't really talked about the score.
Yeah, Danny Elfman. It's a great Elfman score. This one.
It is, yeah, and it's got that real, like, he uses that motif of it's got the sort of piano thing of the it's got that kind of, it's jovial, but it has real moments of kind of
it's nicely 80s as well. It's like and it's like you say jovial because they're getting away and stuff, and it has that Blues Brothers feel to it, because Blues Brothers it's a good example. It's a good example of characters who live outside of society and stuff. Like you say, they're challenged by the state and everything. And that film has just this such insane escalation. And like by the end, when the army all have them at gunpoint and
because it might as well be, because that's the point, isn't it? It's like if you're trying to represent on film essentially the law, because if our characters keep pushing it. You know what I mean? It's and because this is what I mean about being on the lam. It's like I love that. That's a great comedy car crash. It's like bam, right into a tree, and then you got this great helicopter shot of the carnage of all the different cars just like dumped into the. But it's yeah, you know when you're being chased by the law, I think it's a great representation on film of just this constant, never-ending stream of car. Because it's kind of like what Grand Theft Auto does really well, which is just like it never ends until you're dead.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's what the law is. At the end of the day, if you resist arrest, if you don't pay a fine, and then you resist arrest, ultimately,
or if you paint your car,
you'll be killed.
Color. But no,
yeah,
but
you
you're
can
right.
get away with that if you go for a full risk.
But you get that yes, you get that point where just there are tanks and helicopters and like fighter jets and stuff.
That's essentially in real life. That's essentially what would happen to you, right? Is it's like the full weight of the law is if you resist enough, you'll be killed for it.
Yeah, and if you are a video character who is effectively a god, the only response is to send the army after you in a fighter jet. Yeah. Because that's a fucking door again, Marvin. I mean, you can't really blame him, can you?
No, not at all. He uses his own tricks on him. Well, like you say, it's because the best Marvin can do though is use Jack's tricks on him.
Exactly.
You know, but that's I love all that. Look at the Chrysler as well with the sort of interior the red interior that matches the exterior. It's like velour interior.
Velour. It's real.
Stinks
velour.
of fags, no doubt.
And cream. Pints of cream.
I'm sorry, I spilled cream in your car.
Cream.
That's okay. Don't worry about a thing. Would you like a mint julep? Because we're in the South
for some reason.
I do declare. It's very
I do declare. That's just because I've been on like quite a good diet for a long time. I'm not having delicious, nice cocktails.
Fair enough.
I'm just thinking about my precious whiskey sour is what I'm not having.
Precious.
My precious whiskey
I love
sour.
this stuff as well because this in the diner that he's obviously made it to, and he sits down and this is what's his name? That's Jack Nicholson's mate, isn't it?
He's Bob the Goon.
Goon.
Yeah, I'm sure his real name. Oh, Mark Garside just straight in Bob the Goon, like there in the chat.
There you go. Yeah, he sits down and has a coffee with Bob the Goon, and it's like this real heart-to-heart moment. And it's all because it's covered. Again, this is the beauty of not crossing the line, right? So we never see the other end of the cafe, because then eventually it cuts. It turns out the FBI is right there.
Right there, yeah.
Or they're not right there, but they're like poof.
It's brilliant comic editing. You know, the invisible art. It's so good, and it's what you don't show. It's funny because I always find this funny with filmmaking. It's you know, nothing exists outside the frame until you show it to.
Yeah,
and it could be because he popped the glasses on the fucking steering wheel earlier, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, they're all there.
And all and again
out the window.
All the cop cars.
Because again, it might as well be. That's the point, isn't it? When you're running from the law. The law is just this omnipresent thing that you cannot get away with.
All of this is like a fucking airfield, man. Like all these aircraft. I think I said this before. There's a thing called like there's an online registry of all aircraft, and if you see an aircraft in a movie, you can put in the registration, you can put in the number from the fin or the tail, and it will tell you what became of that craft and where it was registered and stuff.
Well, that's what I say. That the helicopter I was in for that.
Oh yes.
Shoot was the one that's used in Spectre that Blofeld's in, so I've literally been in Blofeld's helicopter, and it is literally the one that's used at the end of Spectre. Yeah, the one that crashes into the bridge and everything. And there you go. I mean, they obviously didn't literally crash that.
Don't shatter the illusion, Duncan.
The pilot's name was Richard, and I only remember that because he also knew of my friend I went to school with, who's called Richard, who also is a pilot, who flies a Spitfire. And I knew that I had that. Yes, of course he does. Well, they own this, a family-owned Spitfire, and it's a lot.
This makes less and less sense as it goes on. It's cool. It's cool.
It's a lovely story, which I won't bore you with. But basically, his dad rebuilt a Spitfire and turned it into a two-seater, and then was very tragically killed in a car crash. And so his mum took it on and became the world's first and only female Spitfire pilot, display pilot, and everything. And now Richard has taken that on and has taken on that legacy. So it's a very, very nice, albeit tragic, film. So anyway, so they're well known in the aviation world, but that's the pilot of said helicopter. I had a conversation with him about that. He was a lovely bloke. He was really cool. Because I forgot about all that, but like, you go through, because I had to go up in a helicopter and essentially hang out of an open helicopter flying along a runway. There are some safety checks, believe it or not. And because I didn't have a harness, I didn't have anything other than the seatbelt, what goes around your middle. I didn't even have a shoulder thing, so it was just like lean out the helicopter. So it was like, and he said, we can't have anyone sat next to you for continuity, so it's basically like, please don't fall out of the helicopter.
Cool. Cool.
So that was,
all right then.
Fun.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you're going to go, well, because I'm doing it for work, I'm not going to ask any questions. If someone asked me to do that for a laugh, I'd probably be a
laugh.
bit
Yeah.
questioning, but yeah.
That's the kind of thing I do for a laugh. I'm quite.
Yeah.
I love
it was good
like
for
that.
a laugh. But yeah,
it's one of the best parts about going to South America is it's a country with no real health and safety legislation, so I can do all the dumb shit I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
There you go.
It all works out. It's fine.
Yeah, I've died 0 times, so it's fine. I did ride a quad bike through the Sacred Valley, which was very difficult because I couldn't see it.
I just sort of floated. There was a lot of dust.
Floating atop of a streak of dust, yeah. Oh god, I love this. It's a fiercely yellow room, isn't it?
Isn't it?
It's aggressively magnolia. That.
See, there's all, because it's hard to do when you're watching it mute, but there's all the mob dealings and stuff that go on in this as well, and it's I love all the, because there's the goons, right? And then of course Dennis Farina and stuff, and it's like, listen, you motherfucker, you motherfucker. Like, there's all that shit goes on. It's so good, man. And then because the ultimate thing is he basically gets, isn't it if Farina's character accepts the tape? There's a tape that he's supposed to be trying to get out of one of them, and if he accepts it, that means he's guilty. And there's that. And then it breaks off in the middle of the exchange later on. So it's kind of like, did he take the tape?
Oh, yes, of course. That's a great bit of tension building. That's so nice.
Yeah.
Because, the sound goes down and then we don't know. And then, yeah.
So it's just great. Honestly, great. I like, again, for anyone who watches this and goes, if there's smartphones, it wouldn't be a problem. Don't watch it. Just, if that's going to be you, don't watch this fucking film.
Yeah, but there aren't, so shut up. It's the past.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut up.
Yeah.
There's a dilemma now because, there are a bunch of premises that just wouldn't work because of smartphones or whatever. So either you contrive, like I said, you contrive a reason for them not to have the smartphones, or you said it in the past, which is vastly expensive because, again, only what's in the frame exists, but with what's in the frame is a period car, period costume, period.
I remember, who was it I spoke to when we were doing Dark Shadows at Pinewood? They had done up, so there's a tank, the water tank that's at the back of the back lot of out there, that they had built. They built like a town around it with 2 canneries either side of a harbour, in which there were boats floating and blah, blah, blah. There was a huge blue screen, and then the street went up and around the corner, and there was a cinema and a gas station and a junction and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, why? I kind of thought to myself, like, why wouldn't you just do this in a town? And then I was like, yeah, but the cost of buying out a town for I don't know how many weeks and literally having to pay every business to shut down. I don't know how you would then period dress a gas station, but doing it to everything else, like getting exactly the town with all the geography you want, and then paying it to shut down would be infinitely more expensive than just building the fucker on a lot.
Yeah,
and then having
the control stuff.
Also having the control of a blue screen and being able to blow it up as well because they blew up one of the canneries. So it was like, yeah, okay. Now that makes sense, but it's still millions of fucking dollars. It's like it's not cheap, man. But like, and that's the. I mean, we had this chat the other day about like, to film a scene in which a character walks across the street and goes into a building. To do that on film costs a fortune because you have to lock off the street, pay extras to populate it just to make it look like your average street with people walking down it. And people don't see the value in it until you say to them, well, if you want a shot reverse shot, that means you need continuity of people walking behind whatever character you're talking about. You can't get that with members of the public because they're just going to fuck around and look in the lens and not pay attention.
We
They're not
talked about this when we watched Dante's Peak on here. Do you remember? Because they're going through the town and there's this insane fucking... Oh, sorry, this is the thing I noticed in this movie. Oh, was it this movie? Yeah, look. The bokehs behind him, that's what you call the out of focus light. I thought it was this movie. They're square, which says whichever camera is shooting in that direction had a square aperture. The one in the reverse shot is a conventional round aperture, and that's not anamorphic. I don't know what that is or why that is. I don't know why there's a weird lens, because it's a massive tell as to what camera's being used, and I don't know what that is because I don't think it's anamorphic or anything, but it's got a square.
Yeah.
Who's interested in this?
I am, because I think that's fucking cool. I think that's really good to have those two different...
Yeah, well, I wonder why that is and why that happened, because I mean, I have my I used my oval aperture lens to make my Die Hard video because it looked like the anamorphic look, but it isn't really. And sometimes you get ones with like heart-shaped apertures for little cheesy photo shoots and stuff, and for some reason that's a kind of square aperture camera. I'm sure someone knows and will tell me. But it's shot to shot. I couldn't remember what movie I watched where that happened, and it's this. It's when I first watched this, I was just like, what the fuck's that all about? And I don't know, because the bokehs are kind of weird in the master shot as well, but I don't think they're square because you can see they're circular in the smaller parts.
So much of this, like, why don't you pay fucking attention? It's like, because the name of the hotel's written on the fucking towels next to it.
Because Marvin's a dickhead.
I know, because he's tried to just pull a jack on them, but doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I love it. Dennis Farina, like, you with this and me with... I just love the body language of him. It's like, fucking this, and I'm gonna fuck you up. He's so good, man. I love this. This is just a great film. I mean,
hey, it's just got that energy. Like, I think the Dennis Farina certain energy films, or this Get Shorty and perhaps Snatch, have that kind of zippy, fun, kind of thing to them. It's all super Vegas. Like, it's great cliched Vegas gangster twats as well, which is very purposeful. It's very
If only it had Robert Darby in it.
Yes, yeah, it would all seem right, wouldn't
it? Whittling from his shit. Rich and I had a long, drawn-out conversation about Robert Darby and his less than plastic stool.
Oh, like it's just like obsidian.
His foot stampers. What was his toilet surrounded by right-wing books and like a gold toilet but falling into disrepair? It's just this notion of it being some old Hollywood.
Palatial toilet. Oh god!
It was brilliant. Painted quite the vivid picture. It was just
pretty standard Richard and Duncan, isn't it?
Iron Rand. I can't remember. There were a bunch of
like a mucky gold toilet with like a white plastic seat on it that replaced the ivory one that used to be on it.
Just brilliant.
Very home based.
So, dog-eared books all around because he hasn't changed. It was probably one of those old magazine racks that you put things in with the. Perfect. I love that. I don't know why we did.
Yeah, we did just talk about Robert Darby's toilet for really quite some time.
Somehow that was the root to his soul. was whatever literature he had littered about his decrepit gold toilet.
Oh, fuck me. Right, I'm going to go to not a super chat, I'm going to go to a question, which just because I liked it. If you had to do a gritty reboot of a children's property, asked Steve Allen from the past, what would it be, Rainbow or Mr. Ben? It has to be Mr. Ben because you call it Ben. And then it's about how he travels between dimensions. So it's like, Ben, every day is danger, Ben. Like, because if he goes to be like a knight, he has to watch a witch being burnt and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And he'd put on a Victorian man's costume and he'd have to go and chase Jack the Ripper and stuff like that. Ben. This summer, Ben. Zack Snyder's Ben.
Not to joke, I just wanted to highlight that bit just now with Dennis Frieda. That's the horrible bit. Do you know what I mean? The scene where he's like in front of, because it's the one, like, because obviously he's been trying to keep Grodin away from the mob, and then when he's in the car, because they finally catch him and he's in the car and he's just like, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna kill you. Then I'm gonna kill your wife. Then I'm gonna kill you. Then I'm gonna go home and have a nice hot meal or whatever. You know, it's just like, oh, like he's a real piece of shit.
Fucking nasty bastard, isn't he?
It's big. He goes, I see you're still spending all your money on clothes.
Yeah. Taken too soon, man. Old Farina.
Fuck yeah, man!
Really
like
sad.
the dude,
he was great.
he was, yeah. He just oozed charisma, oozed comedic like chops and timing and everything. Like he was just amazing. Yeah. I mean, Get Shorty, I think he's so fucking good.
Yeah, really great, really great. It's such a shame. Hey ho. On a lighter note, Dan Lyle says Darby on the Larvae.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Davy is. Oh, sorry. He's easy to ridicule, but he is. You know, you can't deny his.
Hey, look, as an actor, you know, as a ranty old geezer in his car, not really a fan, but as an actor, really scary, powerful performances.
I find it amusing. I mean, you know, I don't. You know, I mean, look, if you take him seriously or not, that's up to you. But I just
it's funny. Oh, it's funny. Yeah, I don't agree with him on anything, but it's funny. Like it's like, you know, it's a bit like.
And I don't think it's that effectual, really. It doesn't offend me or upset me or sway me. It's just.
It's got that house. I love you, Mr. President. I love you, Mr. President. It's like, he's not watching, Rob. Go back to your girl toilet, pal. He's not watching.
Bad.
Oh fucking hell!
Oh, hiccups! I'm gonna have to hold my breath now. Oh no!
Oh, I love the mundanity of this stream. Just, I've burped and farted. You've got hiccups. So I read some comics. I had to look at a 1980s nuclear war survival pamphlet, and we talked about how I'm unable to perceive cars outside of their physical properties such as weight and form. It's tragic. Duncan's holding it. My pal used to say to me about drinking out from one of his things was drink out the wrong side of the glass, and the other one was he had this whole thing about count to 67, spin round and touch your arsehole or something. I don't know.
That's about distracting you.
Yeah, they all are. For
some reason, holding my breath always worked over the years, and I never knew why until Brad actually told me. He was like, because if you take a massive lungful and hold it, you're keeping your diaphragm depressed, because it's your diaphragm that's spasming when you have hiccups. So it's about keeping your diaphragm forced down for long enough to stop it from doing it. So thank you, Brad.
Down Diaphragm, the sequel to Up Periscope.
Starring Kelsey Grammer, who also knows Brad.
Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah. I saw Brad at the weekend, which was really awesome. He stopped off on the way by. I wish it could have been a proper stopover, but alas, we are still not there yet. But soon we will. And by the way, I spoke to him, and we are at some point. I'm gonna sequester you and kidnap you or whatever, and we'll go down and see him. And
that works for me. All about
that.
I
think what we might try and do is get Messrs. Price and Geary. And Brad, and we'll go in there.
I want to make another. I want to write a thing for you and Mike to do. I just want it to be all you and Mike in scenes. That's what I realised. How
I had so much fun with that, dude, man. And that's one of those. Like, I think we always knew we'd love, because we've both worked with the same people, but just not together. And I had so much fun working with Mike. He's the best.
He's a doll. He's the sweetest fucking dude, man. He's funny as fuck as well. Funny as fuck.
He's hilarious, man. He's the best. No, bring it on. He might be in the thing I'm doing with Mark later on, so we'll see.
It's the thing I'm doing. It's a romantic comedy about someone having sex with the thing.
It can't be reasoned with.
Oh, that's early Richard Duncan deep cuts.
Yep.
That's oh yes, all about our pal Michael Bain. He's our best friend who we personally met personally, and he done the best.
He's our best mate.
He's
What
our
we
best
have
mate.
met
Yeah.
and loves us to bits.
He was here. My little brother asked me if I filmed that, and it's like, yeah, I stood over Michael Bain as he lay prostrate on a bed. Michael Bain
had no pants on. Just his legs akimbo.
No pants, but 2 pairs of glasses.
What's the song like? I filmed you on because you're gorgeous.
Yeah. I'll do anything for you.
While that played in the background.
There's something so funny about a man, and it has to be a man, wearing no trousers or pants, but complete top half dress and socks. Top half dress and socks. It's just like...
So Billy Connolly didn't think about that. It was just like so undignified. No pants.
There's no... Even James Bond. Imagine James Bond, like wearing his socks, top half tuxedo with his willy just hanging out and no trousers and pants. The most dignified person you could possibly think of. Like Stephen Fry in Jeeves and Wooster. Like any version, all the most dignified characters you can imagine. Just with their willy flapping in the breeze.
Yeah.
Oh Christ! I've got loads to do after this. I've got really a lot of stuff to do. Oh God! I need a vacation, which is illegal. So I can't have a vacation.
Yeah. Well, a staycation, I suppose, is not. At the moment.
It's not out of the question. Rob Myers very astutely asked, does Bean know you both stood behind him and inhaled his essence? No, not that I'm aware of.
As we stole sandwiches behind
I wonder if, because Ellie could have told him. They were too scared to talk to you once, so they just breathed in your aura. This is what they did.
From a good 20 feet away.
Yes. Well, we were back to back. Sam Montgomery, Val Verde Broadcasting. What are your thoughts on Aquaman? Just watched it and I totally get why Brad hated it, but at the same time I still get why it made so much money. Drumming octopus lol. Well, I haven't seen it, so you we've seen it, and you and Brad did not enjoy.
I was with Brad when he saw it.
Yeah.
We both went to the premiere. I don't know, there's nothing more obnoxious than because me, Brad, James Rumsey, who's a producer, Brad's producer. He's also a good mate of mine. And I can't remember who else. Yeah. Anyway, a bunch of us went and saw that. And there's even to the point where like all the premiere footage, like, all the coverage has me sort of. I had just been to get my headshots, so I had with me a bag, and I had gone to get my headshots during the day in Covent Garden with a headshot photographer I know, Darren, and then I had shot over to Old Street to see the Flavorworks guys who made Erica because it was one of their birthdays, and I shot over there to see them. Then I had to hightail it back to Leicester Square. So there's like you could see behind it, and it's so ridiculous. The next morning they had all the the premiere of Aquaman last night. It was on the news. There's Amber Heard in her like weird fish outfit going like, I think this character's really important because Aquaman's fucking fish and this, that, and the other. And there's me like walking behind, carrying what looks like an overnight bag full of outfit changes, like walking around like, what the fuck is this? And like just walking into it wasn't at the Odeon, it was at the Empire, I think, in Leicester Square, and I'm just like, and there was of course a blue carpet, not a fucking
because water, like Aquaman.
Because water, but we got to walk through the main bit, not where all the plebs were.
Doing that, not
it doesn't really,
like you cunts.
no, you know what I mean. But yeah, and honestly, guys, if you've ever been like, oh, I wish I could go to a premiere, don't, because it was toilet. Really, it was like you just get crammed into a giant cinema, and the stars of the film. So we had Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, Justin Lin, who I have a lot of time for, Patrick Wilson, who I have a lot of time for, and the producer, I think, came out all out in a line and were kind of like, Aquaman, bro. And like Jason Momoa was like, yeah, fucking rock and roll, and just threw the mic on the floor and fucked off and stuff. And it was just like,
because it would seem he thought it was going to be a disaster, didn't he? That's what people have said since. Like he was, and then it became a massive hit and everything.
I don't get why it was a hit, because Brad and I think I was sat next to James, but Brad was the other side of James, and the three of us were just roaring with laughter through the whole thing. And then afterwards, because bearing in mind we'd been to the pub beforehand and just crammed as many pints in as we possibly could, and I think afterwards we stormed out of that. Honestly, James and I looked at each other a bunch of times and we were just like, can we go back to the pub, because this is boring. It's so boring.
Huge smash, it's crazy.
And it's just gone nuts. Yeah, I don't get it. I'm very much in the same camp as Brad stormed out of there as he's one to do.
And phoned me. Well, at least later on.
The halls of the BFI reverberate with Brad's ranting about why Harry Potter is not a British film or something. He gets on his high horse about, and he stormed off down Leicester Square going, "Fuck was that?" Phoned you at some point, and it was like, "That's a load of shit." And like literally as he was saying it, like Amber Heard, Patrick Wilson and Justin Lin, I think, were coming out right in front of us and getting in cars, and he was just like, "That was a load of fuck. Who the fuck was it?" And it was just like, Brad. And I was just like, I don't know, Brad Watson, director. That I don't know. Like, what?
My name is Guy Incognito.
Incognito. Yeah, it's kind of like, but I mean, as if those people would turn around and go, do you work in the film industry? You're not working anymore.
It's the tool station guy.
Who wasn't at the time.
Right, it's the future tool station guy.
It's the Microsoft Surface guy from several years ago or whatever. I mean, I don't get it, but it did well and whatever, that's fine. I mean, good for you. I mean, look, there's loads of smash hits I don't understand. That's not a problem. I mean, honestly, if loads of people like a thing I don't, so in football, I mean, whatever, good for you.
I mean, that's not how it sounded earlier, the way we were talking about it.
But. No, but, I mean, it's the same thing. Whatever. I thought it was largely perfunctory, but, if you got... I don't understand why... I do find it odd. It's like the same thing's happened with Zack Snyder's Justice League. People are like, the greatest superhero film ever. Like, it's an epic and all this sort of stuff. It's like, no. Like, not, no. It really isn't. Like, but I mean, good for you if you enjoy it.
Good for you.
Good for you, father. But I'm not willing to go that far. When you start straying outside the realms of I liked it into everyone else must think this is the greatest thing in the world. No, I'm sorry. I'm not willing to go there, because now you're trying to tell me what I should think, and I'm afraid no. Okay, no. Little bit you're wrong. That was no. Okay, that's bullshit right there. But no, I'm not going to do it. That's dog shit. Anyway, the end of Midnight Run, which we've just totally lost over.
I'm going to stick around for 15 minutes and have to go. So I'm really sleepy, but I've got to do lots and lots of things. It's going to be fine.
Everyone, that's what.
It's fine. I just need a massive wank, then I'll feel better. Standard.
Soapy wank.
A soapy wank, the classic wank, the best recipe. I had very little whiskey for this reason. I didn't want to myself out. Probably our lowest stream numbers ever for a Thursday stream. So next week we're going to be doing Terminator 1 and 2 at the same time in 2 screens.
Predator and Commando.
Yeah. And all 3 Robocops. And
well, this is the thing, man. This is what we're always up against: is the people who hate the fact that we do quote unquote the same thing all the time, and the people who don't want to hear about films they've never heard of a million times. I mean, that's the thing. I just got kind of go, do you really want us to talk about aliens again?
Well, I mean, yeah. I've got to admit, we did not bring our A game tonight either, but it's It's funny. I don't know. I look at certain movies we've done and I don't get it. I don't know what the X factor is there in terms of what brings people in. I mean, I know what brings people in. If we did fucking Alien and Aliens, which we've done, you get big numbers. Yeah. The Robocop or Terminator stream got like 250 people watching it. You know. So I don't know. Here we are. That's the bottom line, isn't it?
I know a lot of people want us to do James Bond. And I talked about, because someone talks about getting me in contact with Calvin Dyson, who is a Bond YouTuber and someone who I adore because I think his videos are so on point and hilarious. And I would love that. I don't know if he'd be willing. He follows me on Twitter, I think, and other platforms, so I could reach out to him. I'm just not in the mood to talk about James Bond.
It was James Atkinson that suggested it, he says.
No, I mean, well, I don't know, but I know lots of people have. Like, people have been writing.
Oh, okay, it's been okay.
Twitter and stuff, and said you should connect with him, and I agree. I mean, I'm just a giant fan of his. I think I leave comments on his videos and tell him that I think he's great, because I do. I just genuinely think he's fantastic. But if I can come up with something to talk about James Bond with that isn't just like an info dump, I think that's what I'm trying to get to, then I will. And I think actually maybe he and I could do something kind of cool if he'd be willing. He and I could talk about something interesting. I think a different take on maybe a Bond film. I mean, maybe we could talk about Skyfall. I think he ranked as his number one favorite Bond film recently, and obviously I worked on that, so maybe we could talk about
probably mine as well.
Right. Okay.
Well, I'm the person who doesn't know anything, but
yeah. Well, no, and then he knows everything. I mean, he's a very, very.
I think if you could get him, I think you and he should just don't have me there ruining it.
Well, again, but it's the sort of thing I would love to do in person with him. Really, I don't know about doing it over Skype, but I would love to do. Again, this is all with the assumption that he would be willing to do something, but I think he's really great. So, and I'm aware. I suppose is my point. Is a lot of people kind of have spoken to me like, you haven't heard of this guy? It's like, no, I'm a huge fan of his, and I think of a lot of probably all. Anyone I'm subscribed to on YouTube, like I watch every single one of his videos when it comes out. So
right, okay, so he's pretty top tier for you.
Definitely. I mean, he doesn't release videos every week or anything, but he's just hilarious. Like, I mean, if you're into James Bond, which I know you're not, so this is falling on deaf ears probably.
Well, no, but I appreciate I appreciate appreciation of a thing.
Yeah, and he's just fucking funny. I think he's really, really great. So I would love to. I mean, I may well do that. I may well sort of say, hey, look, we have a Poxy YouTube channel, and would you be up for just doing,
Hi, we're twats. Stuff? We've got.
But the one thing I have is that I've actually been on a Bond set. So.
Well, I think that particularly if it's on the one in which he has interest, I think you have something to talk about. If he would, it's difficult reaching out to kind of bigger YouTubers, isn't it? Because when you're a nobody, it's kind of like, well, you're going to them with your cap in your hand, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's at like 40,000 subscribers or something. I think he's around that mark. So
okay, so not stratospheric.
Super tier, yeah, but and very niche, obviously, because he only talks about James Bond, but very comprehensively, and with an insanely keen wit, like he did. Obviously, the No Time to Die coverage has been like. building up. No, building up. Building up. It's like, and he's in the stuff he's done recently on the most recent sort of pushback of the date was hilarious. So, no, a lot of time because he works in animation. I think he's in the industry. So, anyway, there you go. But that's.
Quickly, the Wing Kong Exchange gave £5. Thank you, sir, for yet another super chat. Here's a $5 towards Richie's new car / passion wagon. Thanks very much. I shall put it in the
when this pile. Nothing comes a rocking.
Don't come a knocking because it's none.
Moving up and down in midair. Don't come a knocking.
I'll be too shy to have sex in a car because I may as well just be having sex in public because I can't see
with your invisible panel van.
My invisible my invisible pervert wagon.
There appears to be a disco light emanating from nowhere.
Is anything introduced to the car then therefore visible to me? Because like,
I don't know.
a coffee cup would be, but then a dedicated car accessory like a fuzzy dice, it's not really of the car, but it's for the car, so I couldn't see that. But if I just left a newspaper in there, I could see the newspaper.
Shopping. People just float down the road with shopping bags.
Well, I can, if I put on, I can't see, when I go into a shop that sells driving gloves, I just see a cardboard tag hanging. Halfords to me just looks like an empty warehouse apart from the bike stuff. Even the mechanics are invisible. Excuse me, mate.
Just rows and rows of empty shelves.
Rows and rows of empty shelves.
Yeah.
I was in Halfords around Christmas time buying spray paint for my Nintendo. It's true. It's a true story. Those of you who watched my building a console video. Champagne 78, Ritchie is like an off-brand Wonder Woman with an invisible car instead of a plane. I love that. And no superpowers.
It's sort of like the inverse, because you see
only
you see
I'm the one. Yeah.
Only you can't see them, so it's like a shit invisible. Like you, woe-betide Richard when he crosses the road.
There was a time. There was this fucking shit cunt hotel I used to work for in central Cambridge on Trumpeton Street. I won't say which one, but there's only one on Trumpeton Street. No, there's two actually, so it's legally safe. Basically, we had a car park off site because there's nowhere to park in Cambridge, and guests would come and park their cars with double yellow lines. And if the guest got a ticket, we'd have to pay for it, and they'd take it out of our tips. And
what?
Yeah, and we put up with this for fucking ages. Fucking unionise. Everybody unionise. Anyway, I would quite often, whilst we were waiting for a porter, because there weren't enough porters to deal with the demand for car parking, so we'd get tickets quite regular. I'd have to take the car key, go to the car, sit in the driving seat, and just put the key in the ignition and confidently sit there as if I was about to start it. So then if a traffic warden came, I'd go like, I'm about to start this car, but for some reason I'm petrified.
What the fuck, man?
Fucking
like,
horseshit.
Yeah.
Fucking horseshit.
It's bullshit.
It's one of these things. If I fucking if I said publicly who it was, they'd stringently deny it, and I'd probably get fucking in trouble for it. It's like I will say, completely unrelated to that. The hotel company Hotel de Van, which I'm just bringing up for completely unrelated reasons, once sacked a restaurant manager for getting punched in the face by a guest, and he successfully sued them. Just to reiterate, the company Hotel de Van at their location in Birmingham, they allowed an out of control guest to punch a manager and then suspended the manager who was the victim of a violent crime and didn't inform the police, and he successfully won actually against them in court. Hotel de Van, the hotel chain Hotel de Van, who I'm mentioning for no reason.
Well, no, but good for him, because there's no fucking way you should get assaulted at work and then get suspended.
For it because he wouldn't give the guest what he wanted. Because it's, you know, I've worked for many companies who view that firstly the customer is always right is a vile fallacy, and you'll find that working in bars and whatever. And that's he was drunk in their bar all the time, the restaurant all the time, and he violently assaulted a member of staff because he wouldn't fucking give him a discount off a steak or something. So he punched him in the face. And then the manager got in trouble for allowing his face for presumably bruising the man's knuckles or whatever.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
You know. So anyway, yeah, I'm annoyed. I'm just annoyed generally. That's why I'm freelance now.
Right. Very good.
Yeah. Anyway, I was just bringing that case up, completely unrelated to anything I said. Right. Anyway, so 5 more of your Earth minutes. 5 more of your Earth minutes. 300 of your precious seconds before we cut to credits. 1.
Well, look, I mean,
2,
I think it's what's
3,
it is weird.
4.
Like, you talk about us as being a kind of Venn diagram. I do agree with that. It's funny because our interests generally lie way outside, but the bits that lay in the middle are so congruous. You know, they're so sort of ingrained in who we are. I think it's really nice. I mean, you know,
it's funny, isn't it? It is weird. It's lovely.
The car thing, and the like, and then it's even things like, you like bourbon, I like scotch. Let's call the whole thing off. You know,
1 step forward and 2 steps back.
Yeah.
Which one of us is the animated cartoon cat? Because I don't mind.
Me.
Oh, right. So I'm Paula Abdul.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I'm
fine with that.
Like,
no, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Me being generous.
Well, remember though, Duncan, I don't like cigarettes, and you like to smoke. That's what you've chosen. You've chosen MC Cool Cat. Or is he weirdly called DJ Cool Cat, except just the fact he's a master of ceremonies and he doesn't appear to be DJing. Anyway, I've got a weird obsession.
You put far too much thought into this. I got as far as...
I've got a weird obsession with that song and that track and that video. I don't know why.
I only know it because I know it, but I know it mainly from Family Guy because they do a whole skit where he's like, "I'm just like a cat," and anyway, which isn't that funny.
Okay, well, that's one of those things. I think the video is weird enough.
Yeah,
but I suppose that's why you want to parody it, isn't it? I guess. But, anyway, that's. Oh yes, Shang-Chi, the new Marvel thing. Dan Lars just brought this up.
Yeah,
I wasn't that bothered about it, but what I didn't realise was it's and I think they said it on Mr. Sunday. DOP is Bill Pope,
cool.
The mighty Bill Pope, who did two of the Spider-Man movies with Raimi, but has not done a Marvel thing before, and did Wet Leg Right and stuff. And yeah, so I watched the trailer knowing it's Bill Pope, and there's some fucking cool imagery in it, like really nice. Marvel gets often accused of sort of being quite samey in its visual style. So this is a fucking Bill Pope. I'm interested
to see
movie.
What happens with Marvel, because obviously Marvel was this big thing and it built to a huge crescendo with Endgame, and then they were clearly like, and we'll start gonna build into COVID, and it's kind of like they were obviously going into whatever it was, phase 5 or whatever, and then that's hit. So I don't know if it's played into their favor or if it's made things hard for them. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I like Black. I want to see Black Widow. I mean, I'm a massive Scarlett Johansson fan. Weirdly,
I don't blame
if I had a locker anywhere, it'd probably have
right.
So
she is great though. I mean, aside kind of sleazy lads Magnus aside, she's fucking brilliant. Like, Did you see Jojo Rabbit?
Like I say, I saw the first half of it and then turned it off. Mainly because we were tired and wanted to go to bed, and I couldn't get into it. But that's fair days. She's
really great in that. She does a really, really lovely performance in that.
I've not seen any, Under the Skin, and she does everything from little indie stuff to big, huge movie stuff, and I just think she has.
Must be nice, huh? That's charisma.
Yeah, dude. I mean, she's got a career I certainly envy, but I just think she's great. I just think she's wonderful. But anyway, I'm up for that film, and I'm up for most Marvel stuff. I think is really cool. I think the only thing I'll say with the Marvel Cinematic Universe is it doesn't have, for all its supposed cohesiveness, which it does have, I just don't think. I think if DC was done right, it would be so much better. If it was done right, which it hasn't.
I'm not an American comics guy, as I said many times, but I always lean towards DC. Most of these Marvel characters, I didn't know about most of these people that I know and love now. I know about them because of the films, because they were done so well. I've always preferred DC's kind of more mythical approach, but the films have been handled so badly. As you say, if someone had done the same amount of due diligence as Marvel did, we could have had these amazing. And DC was always so vastly successful on film as well. I mean,
if you look at the animated series stuff, if you just put that on film, it would be so good.
Yeah.
I just think it would have that real, it has much more sort of thematic gravitas. There's nothing wrong with the Marvel stuff at all. And like I say, I don't want to spark any kind of tribal debate, because I think both can coexist quite happily. I just think if DC could get their shit together, or Warner Brothers could get their shit together, and they know this, they must know this. I mean, fuck off for anyone who's like, you mean bastards. Fuck off. Anyone, just look at it. Why do we have a Zack Snyder cut of Justice League?
Yeah.
Because the first one didn't work. Otherwise,
we watched it fucking fail in slow motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was, I am going to have to say goodbye. Sorry to be so abrupt. I've got fucking shot list to go over, and I've got shit to pack, and 10 to 11, so I'm gonna smash the credits.
I've work to do and shit, so it's all good.
I have guys, so having looked at things, I'm probably gonna do the private watch party on the 30th of April, which is Partridge Night. Which is what I say. I'll confirm, but obviously it needs to be by the end of the month, so I'll get a date in soon. We could possibly do it this Sunday, patrons, but I don't want to pounce on you too hard. So maybe we could. I might do a quick poll tomorrow, see if people are up for doing it Sunday, coming Sunday. And we need to fit in a Q&A as well. We've just been busy boys. So got you back to Patreon. And normal service on Patreon will resume. So we had a big push of content on Patreon recently. It slowed down a little bit because of what's going on, but we are still very grateful for your patronage, and we are going to send more content out that way as soon as we can. It's just been top-tier bleed madness up in here.
Yeah, we're also planning a podcast, everyone, so that is imminent. So we are going to basically, the idea will be to do some kind of chat that will be, I guess, like half an hour long, that will go out on YouTube, but it will also go out on podcast platforms, because it's high tide we did something like that. And
yes.
There's no excuse, really. We have all the means at our disposal to do it. So the idea is we're going to put out an audio show that will be translatable to the video format, so that will happen, and that's going to be part of our kind of re-emergence, I think.
Yes, we coming out of our shells, and we're doing just fine. Colin McLean has left a very nice super chat, very sweet super chat, just for us to sign off on, which is very, very good. $15 dues. Great stream. Never seen either of the choices this week, and watched them all in the last few days. I like these lesser-known films for the choices, as they introduce me to films I've never watched. So Colin watched all three of the things on the poll. That's so nice of you, Colin.
Oh, mate. Well, I'm super glad you got something out of it, because I think all three are fantastic films. Thelma and Louise is wonderful and well known, and Catch Me If You Can as well. I mean, this is probably the lesser known of all the three films that were on the poll, but good on you, man.
This is one a lot of you guys wanted, and we've wanted to do, because we've had this on the poll before. We wanted it, and we know you wanted it, so here it is. I'm sorry we perhaps didn't focus on it as much as we could have done.
Yeah, but we'll do it. I think eventually we'll do a proper episode on this as well, just because it's so good. But yeah.
So right, I'm going to smash up to credits. We love you all, and we'll see you soon. Possible I'll reach out to you guys about the private watch party as soon as I can on Patreon for $5 and up, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.